eFlip is a software that I utilize to find outlier books that I can buy online for cheap that I already know are selling at a high sales velocity on Amazon for more and make the difference in profit, hence the book flipping arbitrage, okay? So I'm going to run you through a tutorial here on how to use eFlip just like I do. You can take this information, start sourcing after this video, and start making money flipping books with eFlip just like I show you here today. So what I like to do when I first hop on eFlip, and I've talked about this before, is I'll set all the parameters up to the maximum and the minimum, all except this one right here with minimum used price as a cent, right? And I'll hit search. And what that's going to do is every once in a while, it's going to show me outlier books that are like a cent or super, super cheap. You see here, the cheapest one right now is about 50 cents. But every once in a while, I want to hit this, and it's just kind of like a habit that I have when I first log on to see if I can get any books very, very cheaply to my door, right? There's a number of reasons I like to personally do that. I'm more focused on the sales because I'm trying to hit a maximum approval, which is 2,000 sales in a 6-month period. So if I can source something super, super cheap that's a quality book right to my door for a cent, I'm going to get it and I'm going to relist it, even if I don't make any money. And often if you're getting it for a cent, you obviously will on that. Even if I don't make any money, I'm interested in the sale. So I just like to do that, and you can get cheap inventory doing that. So every once in a while, like I said, you'll see a few here that are like a cent or like 9 cents or 10 cents. And I'll literally add them all to my cart and buy them to my door via Amazon for like whatever it is total, like whatever that would be, like 29 cents for 3 books. And then I relist them and I end up making a couple bucks just selling those 3 books. But more importantly to me, I get the sale, okay? So now let's sort through, and I'll show you how I like to play around with these parameters. Now, there's a number of ways that you can use eFlip to make money reselling books, okay? And there's a number of ways that you can use the software to find outlier books. You can find outlier books that are, cheaper used books and then ship them into FBA and sell them at a higher price to get the used book buy box, because in some books, there's a used book buy box and then there's a new book buy box. So it's a little bit different than other products. With books, there tends to be usually a used and a new, and you'll see that here when we go through here in a second. You can also sort and source new books that are cheaper on other marketplaces, and then you know that they're selling more on Amazon for a high sales velocity. So I'm going to show you examples most likely of both of those. We're going to run through like I would source any other day. One of the things that I like to do is I'll move these levers and I'll explain to you why and my thought process behind them here in a second, so you understand a little bit more, so you can go ahead and kind of find different outlier books that other people aren't finding. But what I like to do is I'll sort these levers here, and I'll show you that here in a second. But one of the things that you'll notice is when you move these down, for example, max rank. What I'm going to set the max rank to is maybe like 250,000 right now, and you'll see that there's certain tiers as you move them. It goes 250 to 500 to about 750 to a million to 2 million and 1,500, etc., etc., etc. Right? Same thing with max use price, right? If I move this up, it's going to go to 10 cents. 25 cents, all the way up to $1, $2, $3. So there's tiers here. But what I like to do is, because every once in a while, it's just like doing product research on like a private label product, right? You want to use the levers, but you also want to find different books and different looks that other people might not be seeing. So what I'll do, and if you see here, it's 2010, it goes to 2012, maybe, and this should move up to 2014. Okay, so we're going to leave it here at 2013 here to give you an example. But if I move all these down to like 250, and another little caveat here before we jump into this is books actually sell at a higher margin. So where my general rule of thumb for selling other arbitrage products is stay below 100,000 bestseller rank. With books, you can really go all the way up to 1 million, and they pretty much sell pretty fast. Obviously, with the lower bestseller rank, the more the sales, right? So I like to use Jungle Scout, and I'll show you that here in a second, to get a legitimate estimate of the books as well. And that's another reason you want Jungle Scout. It's well worth its weight in gold. I think it's a $99 yearly payment now for Jungle Scout. I don't even really track it. It's in my expenses spreadsheet. I don't really even pay attention to it, but it's well worth it whether you're sourcing other arbitrage products or books. So enough talking. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to take this actually down to like 2011 right here. So we're going to type in 2011. And that's exactly what I was getting at with these levers, right? So most people are going to go, okay, max rank 250 or max rank 500. But instead, I'm going to come in and I'm going to type 350, and that's going to give me other looks, any between 250 and 350 that other people might not be seeing if they didn't otherwise type that in, right? They might just set their parameters at 250, and then they're not seeing those other books that are within 250 to 350 that I might see that might be good buys. So that's what I like to do and play around with. I don't ever really change max use or max new offers too much. I don't really care about that. One thing that is important though is the trade-in value. So I always like to go, you'll see the levers here, 5 or 10. I'm going to go like $9 trade-in value here. I didn't mean to do that. Where's the trade-in value? $9 here on the trade-in value, because like I said again, if someone hits the lever at 5, if someone hits the lever at 10, they're not gonna otherwise see the ones that are 9, in between $9 and $10 trade-in value if I type in 9. So I'm getting different looks of products that other people might not otherwise see. Okay, so for the max Amazon price, I'm gonna drop this at like 30. I'm gonna take it to 40, and then we'll go like $38. Again, same kind of general thought process here. I'm typing in numbers that are close, but different looks that other people might not see. And I didn't mean to actually do that there. Why does this keep messing with me? So 9 here. So now we have 2011 max publish date. We're at 350 for the max rank and max average rank. Didn't change these at all. Max trade-in value is 9. Max Amazon price is 38. Max new price is 38. And we'll move the used price all the way up to like we'll go $5 right here, okay? Or you know what? We're actually going to type in $490. 491. Why not, right? And what that's going to do is that's going to give me different looks as to, what other people might not be typing in. And obviously the more you see some of these tutorials, the more you'll understand, how to set these numbers up. The reason I like the max publish date right here, minimum 2011, is because that's going to give me more relevant textbooks or books, and especially same thing with the trade-in value here. You always want to have the trade-in value levered up, and that's going to give you a better example of textbooks. And if they have a trade-in value, that they're still that they're their most recent edition, or at least that edition is still in demand at certain colleges. Okay, now this isn't always just textbooks with this software, but clearly that's what I'm focused on right now. It's the beginning of Q4. We're approaching October here. It's about the end of September. Don't have my months right. And obviously Q4 the sales velocity on Amazon so super high. So I might sell all these textbooks super fast in Q4, but even if they don't sell, they're going to sell a lot faster and for a higher margin in the beginning of the spring textbook season, which I believe is about the end of December to like mid or early February. So regardless, I have a window right here of like 5 to 6 months potentially where these textbooks are going to sell for a higher margin and a lot faster. So that's why I'm sourcing right now. Now, you don't ever have to really play around with like the account type right here, personal or business, and you don't ever have to really pay attention with show rentals. I don't really ever show the rentals, but you can. And I also don't really ever click Amazon Smile, although you can. If you do end up buying like a used book on Amazon from a cheaper seller, then you might want to do Amazon Smile, because that's just going to donate a portion of your purchase price on Amazon to a charity. So you can always click that if you want. It doesn't hurt you, but it is going to help charities. If you're paying for books, you might as well. Okay, so then we're going to hit search, and all these parameters are going to go into the software, and it's going to shoot me out textbooks that fit all of those parameters. Okay, so that's where we are right now. You also, just like any other form of arbitrage, right? You always want to have your Seller Central open with inventory add a product, so that we add these ISBNs, into Seller Central to make sure that we indeed can sell them. Now you might, and this is a misconception that I had as well when I first started selling books, you might think that you can sell every single book because books are not a gated category, right? Whereas other brands are gated, other categories are sometimes gated. But actually, Amazon has started gating some of the the highest ranked textbooks. So if you get a textbook that's ranked like 10,000 in that category, or like 50,000 in that category, sometimes it will be gated and you won't be able to sell it. So it's important to always check. 99.9% of the time, you're going to be able to sell the book, obviously, but it's always just important to check, so you're not dropping like 30 to 40 bucks on a book and finding out that you can't sell it, because that would be bad, right? So it's also important to keep track of your inventory, and once we get a potential good buy, I'll show you kind of how I do it. I like to do it this way. I'll have like title of the book so I know exactly what comes. So when it comes to my house, I'll check my spreadsheet and be like, okay, this came. Same thing with a link to the book on Amazon, so that I don't play any guessing games in the future. I'm not scanning it in, because when you do use the seller app, or you're scanning a book in, obviously most of the time it's going to give you the right book in the right condition, in the right variation, and so on and so forth. However, it does does sometimes scan in and give you a different copy of the book or a different version of the book or a different book altogether. So I don't want to play any guessing games. I just like to have the link, and I'll literally go in, click the link, grab the ISBN, and add it to Seller Central via my laptop from the link. So I'm not playing any guessing games, and I just know, okay? I also keep track of whether it was delivered or not. And if you see here, this should be Ys because they're green. So to give you an example, what I do when I first order something, I'll have it red, so I'll fill it in red, right? And then I'll have an N for no, it hasn't been delivered to my house yet. I haven't received it yet. When it does get delivered to my house, I'll fill it in with a Y and green, so I know, okay, I've gotten this book now. I'm either waiting to ship it in with a bunch of other books into FBA, or I've shipped it into FBA. Now the gray means that it's obviously sold already, and then you'll see obviously what it's sold for, the fees and the profit. I also keep track, if I remember, and I don't always remember here, where did I buy this book from, so that I know in the future, if I run into any issues, where to look for that book and where to source it, okay? Also write down the condition and what I purchased it for. It's important to keep track of these things because when you're buying and you're scaling this up to any certain degree, it can be very, very easy to lose track of your purchase prices, lose track of your inventory, meaning whether or not you've sold them yet, whether or not you still have that inventory in your possession, whether or not it's been delivered to you, and what you purchased it for, so you know exactly what to sell it for, so that most importantly, you know what you made, right? We're all in this to make a profit, and it's very easy if you're scaling up to any certain degree to keep track of your inventory and your profits and your expenses, right? What you've actually spent on these, if you're not keeping track of it. So I always recommend keeping track of it. You can kind of model yours after mine if you want, or you can kind of do your own thing. Just make sure to keep track of your inventory, what you're purchasing it for, and obviously what you make, okay? So now let's run through some examples of books, and I'll show you examples. I haven't set this up at all. I'll show you examples of bad books, good books, ones that might be good for certain reasons, one that might be bad for certain reasons. I'll show you different examples and how I use this software to find good books, okay? So I'm going to click this link right here, and it's going to take me to the Amazon link to where this book actually is, and I'm going to click the books because I want the book right there, the picture, because I want to see the product detail page, right? I'm interested in two things, the used buy box and the new buy box, right? Now I'm going to come down, I'm going to click this down arrow, and I'm going to go to the book finding software that's hooked up to eFlip, and I want to see, okay, what is my opportunity here? What can I source it potentially used? The right column over here is always used books, and it's going to show me different examples of used books in order of cheapest purchase price to most expensive purchase price, and same thing over here on the left with new. So it's going to tell me all different places on the internet where you can find new books and the price, and used books and the price, and then I'm going to weigh those discrepancies to see if there's an opportunity here on the product detail page where I can then buy that book cheaper, ship it into FBA, and make a return on my investment, okay? So things that we're going to use here in a second are the Jungle Scout Chrome extension, like I said before. I think it's $99 a year. I don't really remember. Another thing that we use every once in a while is the Online Seller add-on plugin. That's free. And another thing that we use is the AMZ Scout FBA Calculator. It's going to run the numbers off for us here in a second to see, and we can track if we are indeed profitable, what the actual fees are on that book via Amazon if we ship it into FBA, and what we can expect to make, okay? All these things are important to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind too is one of the things that people do, kind of ignore from time to time is that you'll see every once in a while that if there's a major discrepancy, not always and not even often, but sometimes if there's the discrepancy between the new purchase price on Amazon and maybe you can get one of these for $10 over here, it's important to remember to check that it is the same variation. One of the things that you can't sell on Amazon is the international editions. So if I come across an example of that, and it's always important to check to see if that's in the description, if I come across an example of that, I will show you and point it out to you. Just know that you can't buy an international edition and sell it back on Amazon under the normal edition, okay? Understand that going forward. I will show you an example of that because I'm sure one will pop up eventually, but this doesn't look to be an example of that, okay? So obviously new is not an opportunity for me to make money right here, right? Because the buy box price is $63 and the cheapest price I can get it over here is $58.51, right? So there's no opportunity to make any money there. There's also not an opportunity with this book to make money selling it used because the cheapest, or the buy box price on used right here, is $20.12, and the cheapest I can get is $17.67, right? So after maybe taxes or shipping, depending on what that actually is, and that's the next step when we find a good product, I'll show you how to actually go ahead and make sure that you're profitable. But there's really no profit margin here selling it used or selling it new, so this is a bad book to potentially buy. Let's move on to the next one. And obviously I do this very, very fast, but I'm just kind of slowing it down and breaking it down for you to explain my thought process, different opportunities, why they're bad, why they're good, so that you can understand it so you can go do this yourself, okay? But obviously I go through these pretty fast, and when I have like 5 to 10 minute downtime, I'll just sort through eFlip and try to find some books, buy a couple, put them on my spreadsheet, and then when they come, I'll ship them in bulk into FBA with like maybe 10 to 50 other books, and it's super, super cheap, okay? So once again, we click the link. That was the first thing, and I think I already clicked that other one. So we clicked the link. It took us to this right here. Then we're going to click the picture of the book because I'm interested in the buy box, right? The new buy box and the used buy box. So it looks like it's selling new on Amazon. The buy box is $51.47. The used buy box is $27.82. So then we want to come down to the bookfinder, and we want to see, is there an opportunity to buy this online and make money on it? So used price is $27.82. That might be an opportunity, although it's probably not that great of an opportunity because after fees right here, there's probably not that much money to make. If you're spending $18, you might make like $4 or $5 potentially, and I just know that from experience, but I'll show you that as an example here in a second, okay? Now, there's not that big of an opportunity. There's no opportunity really buying it new because the new buy box here is $51.47, and the cheapest I can get it is $46.26, okay? So that's a bad example of a new buy box. Let's see. Used I already know is a bad example, but let me show you, okay? And like I said too, I would run through this super fast and sort like 5 to 10 books in like a couple minutes. So it's okay if you're finding like 3 to 5 books or like 10 books even or 20 books even that are bad. All you really need is one, and then you can make a good margin, and then you just keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again. There are tens of millions of books in the eFlip software that you can use and find outliers on. There's opportunity there, and it's immense. So let's use the AMZ Scout Calculator right here to see if it's profitable selling the new copy of this book and shipping it into FBA, okay? All right, so every once in a while, because this is the free version, it does get a little finicky, and when I click it, it doesn't pop up, and it doesn't look like Jungle Scout's popping up either, so it might be something with my browser right now. I'd have to restart my computer, but because we're in the middle of a tutorial, we are not going to do that, okay? But we can just guesstimate based on the bestseller rank, so we're going to use that instead of Jungle Scout, and obviously this shows 99,000 in books, so it's selling pretty well. We already know that. And we can just pull up the FBA calculator that Amazon provides us and use that here because obviously AMZ Scout Calculator is being difficult, and it's got to make my job difficult, okay? So what I want to do is I want to take the ISBN right here, and I'm going to take it in the fulfillment calculator right here and see what the margin is, okay? So to ship it into Amazon, I'm going to say 50 cents, and we are under the Amazon fulfillment category right here. I'm saying 50 cents because I'm never going to ship this one book into Amazon myself. Usually I ship it in with like 50 other books or like 10 other books or sometimes even like 20 other books depending on how many books I accumulate at once, how many I've bought. And when I find that, okay, I have enough, I'm going to ship them into FBA now. So I'm never shipping one-off books. It's always very, very cheap. The item price to me is, and we're going to check this to make sure that there's no tax or shipping here. So we're going to click this, and it looks like if we add this to the cart, it looks like $8.29. $8.29 with, where's the shipping? Proceed to the checkout. And it is free shipping. So it does become, it is $8.29 total. So $8.29 is the actual price to us, right? The item price is $18.29. Then the cost, $18.29. It's been so long since I've actually used this one. $18.29 is the cost of the product. The item price is, what's the buy box price used, is $27.82, okay? So $27.82. And that's going to probably tell us that there's a small margin. This isn't even a good one because it's no margin, right? I'm losing $1.72. So like I said, that is an example of a bad product, and you want to avoid that. So we're going to find another example of a good one really fast. I'm going to start going through this pretty fast to show you so I can find one and give you an example of a good one that you can buy and make money off of. So again, we're on the product detail page of this third one right here. We're going to click the bookfinder to see what our opportunity to buy it and if there's a margin here. The new buy box is 46 roughly. The used buy box is about 33. So there's an opportunity to buy this used and make money. There is not really an opportunity to buy it new because the discrepancy in price isn't really there. I can buy it for $36.46. That's the cheapest, but then it sells for $10 more. So after shipping it into Amazon and after the fees, I might either not net anything or even lose money or maybe make $1 or $2, but it's not worth my while to spend $36 and make $1 or $2, right? So now we're focused on the used one right here. So the used buy box is at $32.95. And it looks like I can potentially buy this on Amazon. You'll see here, it's literally listed back on Amazon. A perfect example of buying this as a used book from somebody that's not in FBA, right? So it doesn't have their book in FBA for $11.95 and then shipping it into FBA and potentially grabbing the buy box at $32.95, right? So you can sometimes see that if you ship it into FBA, you can win the buy box at a lot higher price. And because I have good seller metrics, I can also do that pretty well. And I would probably end up shipping this into FBA and sharing the buy box at $32.95 with this seller right here and making good margin. So this is probably a good book. Let me show you an example of this. If I go to $11.95 and click the $11.95 right here, and there's another opportunity to buy this at $11.99 and $14.96. So this is a perfect example. If we go back to my my spreadsheet right here, see I bought 3 of these right here, 3 times governance and policy and sport, 5 times of this one. And you'll see that I purchased these on Amazon. This is exactly what I did right here for that price right there, and that averaged out at that a book. So that's what I paid per book. That's what I paid for 3 of those. That's what I paid per book in average. That's what I paid for 5 of those, right? Same thing with this one. If I found that I could potentially make good margin on $11.95 and there's still good money to be made, I might buy all 3 of these and then just average them out total and ship them into FBA and make good money. Okay, there's a good opportunity to do so, but just trying to spitballing ideas for you to keep it, to spur ideas for you so you can use it to make money in whatever way you wish. Okay, so right here, use acceptable for what is that? $11.95 right here plus a little bit of tax. So let's add this up on the calculator and we'll see exactly what our cost is, right? So $7, because I'm not going to add it to my cart. Obviously, 99.9% of the time I would add it to my cart and let Amazon tell me, but I don't want to show you my address, so I'm not going to do that. Plus $4.95 plus 72 cents taxes ends up being, that is not right. I added something wrong there. 7 plus $4.95, must have had a wrong decimal place, plus 72 cents is $12.67 for this book, okay? And remember, it is selling, so $12.67, I can ship it into FBA for $32.95, so hopefully this works now, but I doubt it will. Of course, why would it? So the item price, let's actually take the ISBN really fast. And it's so much easier when this actually does work because it's just a drop down and has all the information for you already. But like I said, check out the other book eFlip tutorials if you want to see me use that. Because it's not working right now and I don't feel like, because I'm in the middle of the tutorial and already recording, I'm just going to go through and use the Fba Calculator that Amazon has to show you an example of that, okay? So what I want to do then is I want to come in and I'm going to paste this into the Fba Calculator. So we're going to paste the ISBN. And it looks like 10 steps. It looks like it has both of those. 10 steps. And it looks like it's this one. And it doesn't really all like if there's 2 of them like that, it's more important that you get it right when you actually list it in Seller Central. But if you're just using the Fba Calculator, they're both roughly the same. The only reason that you care about using the Fba Calculator is to get a good idea of the fees, so you're worried about like the weight and the size of it. But if they're roughly similar, like hardback or paperback, they're going to be pretty similar as well. So just get a good idea of if it's profitable or not. So the item price to ship it into Amazon, again, is going to be 50 cents. Like I said, I always estimate because I ship multiple things at once. The item price on Amazon, right, the prime price for used is $32.95. So $32.95. The cost of my product is, what did we say? $12.67. So let's go back, $12.67. And that's going to tell me that I'm going to make a profit of about $7.76, right? So if I buy this book for $12.67 via this other seller right here, Once Upon a Time Books, and they have good ratings, so that's a good sign. It's used acceptable. The buy box is also used acceptable, so it's not like a used like new condition. So I'm not competing against used like new to win the buy box. So I can definitely win the buy box against this person, or at least match the buy box price and share it with them. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy this for $12.67 from this seller right here, and I'm gonna ship it into FBA, list it at the same price, match the buy box, and eventually make $7.76, right? So that's like 75% return on my investment, roughly. I'm just spitballing in my head right now because I'm gonna make $7.76 back on $12.67, and let's see how fast it's gonna sell, right? Because another thing that's important is we need to make sure that A, we can sell it, and it does sell fast. So this is a really low ranking in books. It's 24,000, so it's probably selling very quickly. Remember, anything under $1 million is going to sell. You probably want to stay under 500,000 to be safe and have it sell quickly. Although if there's a great margin on something, like $100 margin or something, for example, like this one right here, there was like a $40 margin. This one right here, there's an $80 margin. I remember this one sold, the buy box price was $179. I bought it for $63, and I think the rank was like 800 something thousand, right? But it eventually sold anyway, and I made a good margin on it. So it all depends on how long you're willing to wait on your money to get it back, and how much you're spending, right? There's so many different nuances. I'm just giving you examples. So because Jungle Scout, like my computer's not working right now for whatever reason, it seems like I need to reboot it. These plugins just stopped working. So we want to make sure that A, we can sell it because it is a very low rank, and we can sell it in new, collectible, and used conditions. So that's an example of a great book that you can go ahead and buy for, like I said, $12.67 from this other seller right here. If I add this to my cart and buy it, and then I'm going to ship it into FBA and make that money. Now, I would also go back and I might buy this one for $11.99, knowing that I'm already profitable, and I'll probably stay away from this because I'm only going to make $7 on it, so I don't want to add like another $4 or $3 or whatever that is to my profit margin. But this one's only 4 cents more, so I would go ahead and buy this as well, okay? So there's a great example of another product. Now, I'm not just going to ship those 2 books into FBA, right? I'm also going to go through and sort through all these other books, go to a couple more pages and sort through all these other books, maybe do like a half hour or an hour of product research and find like 10 to 20 that I'm going to put into this spreadsheet. And then once they come to my house, I'm going to ship them all into FBA, make sure I list them for the right price, match the buy box potentially, and then just collect the money and let Amazon do all the legwork for me. So that's how you use eFlip to find outlier books. It's very easy to use. You can, like I said, buy them. This is a great example of buying something used on Amazon and then shipping it into FBA to win the buy box. Look, he's prime right here at $32.95, and he's beating out somebody that is like almost $30 cheaper than him. So it's pretty crazy that you can do that, but you can, if you're willing to buy it cheap, ship it into FBA, and then you can sell it like that. eFlip is a software that basically finds outlier books. So it's going to tell you all sorts of book data on Amazon. I forget how many they actually have, but it's millions and millions and millions of books on Amazon. So they have data on Amazon, and it also comes with software to find other outlier places where you can source these books online that aren't on Amazon that you can then resell back on Amazon for a profit. So I'm going to run you through how to use this software. There's many ways to make money reselling books back online, right? And there's many ways to use eFlip to resell books back online. Now, to show you how I actually keep track of this, because I'm all about like spreadsheets and tracking your numbers with online arbitrage, because if you're doing online arbitrage to any certain degree or any certain scale, right, what you want to do is you want to stay organized so you're sure that you're profitable, right? You want to prove the concept first, and then you want to scale it up once you prove the concept. But you can't prove the concept if you're buying, cashback products, if you're buying coupon products, if you're buying all sorts of other products, and then you're buying books as well, and they're all scaled up. It's just going to be a complete headache to manage it unless you know how to do it. So what I like to do is I like to order books. I haven't scaled this up to like thousands and thousands of dollars yet. I pretty much just started doing it the past month or two. And what I like to do is I like to buy books in batch, right? So what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll buy like 5 to 10 books on a certain day if I can find them, and I have maybe an extra hour or so to sort through eFlip to do it. Now, you do need with eFlip to actually make like legitimate money, so we're talking about, as you can see here, I'm spending like $39, $15, $20. It's not like coupon arbitrage. It's nothing like that. You're actually going to need to spend some money to make some money, but you can make great profits if you have a little bit of money to spend, okay? So just wanted to outline that, so it's not like you're spending 10 cents or $1 on like a coupon product. You are going to have to spend some actual money to make that money in return, but as you can see here, you can profit pretty decently if you know what you're doing. So this is one of the ones that I did I think like a week or two ago, and I sent them into FBA. So you can see here's this is how I basically set my spreadsheet up to make sure that I'm profitable. So I have the title of the book so I don't lose it. I have the actual Amazon link to it. I usually have like an N in here if it wasn't delivered, and then like I'll change this to like red. So I know looking at my spreadsheet, okay, all these books have been delivered, this one hasn't. Now you can buy them, and you'll see here when we run through the eFlip tutorial, some of them you're buying on Amazon, and you can buy them with discrepancies. So if you buy like a used like new book, super cheap, and there's a discrepancy in price, you can then take that used like new book and ship it into Amazon to potentially win the buy box at a much higher price, as you can see here with the used like new. Now I've been testing that out lately, and I've seen that it works as well, although I haven't done that as much. The main way that I like to do it is I'll buy new books on other sites that I can use eFlip to find for cheaper prices when I know that they're selling higher on Amazon. Then I buy them from that site, I ship them into Amazon FBA, and boom, I get the buy box, or I share the buy box with other people, and I eventually win the sale when people buy it. Now, another thing to keep in mind, and I'm not going to get too into reselling books in this specific tutorial, I just want to give you the overview, and then I'll show you how to actually use the software so that you can go out after this video and start doing it yourself to make money with online arbitrage and flipping books, okay? But mainly speaking, the way that you're going to do this, you just want to make sure that you're organized, so you understand, okay, this is what you sold for, this is like your break-even, or this is what you purchased it for, this is your break-even price, and so you obviously want to sell it for more. Now, the majority of the work is done in the sourcing, and then a little bit of it's done. I usually like to wait all together, so if I buy these like 5 to 10 in a batch, I'll ship them all in the same box, or maybe like 2 or 3 shipments, depending on how Amazon breaks them apart in my actual shipment when I'm shipping them into FBA. But the majority of the time, I'm going to send them all into FBA at once, so it's super cheap for me to ship a book into FBA, so I don't even account for that fee, okay? I also, as you see here, when I calculate my profit, I don't account for the Amazon fees, so obviously you're going to have some FBA fees in there, you're going to have some Amazon referral fees, which is just the fee for selling on Amazon, so I don't factor that in. I'm just making sure that I'm profitable, but like I said, the majority of the work is done in the product research ahead of time to make sure that your book is profitable. So here's an example of a batch that I bought, like I said, about a week and a half ago or something like that, and had them shipped into FBA. So I purchased this book right here for $39.16. I sold it for $309 a few days ago, and my profit on that was $270.83. Okay, so that's just one book. It was a textbook. Like I said too, I completely forgot to say this. You are going to want to keep in mind that there are certain textbook seasons. So you have like fall semester, right? You have spring semester, and then you have like summer semester. So there's mainly 3, maybe 4. I think I've heard people say 4, but I only know of 3 specifically. You have fall, spring, and summer semesters, where people are, for a certain period of time buying more textbooks in bulk. So you can play off that and strictly use eFlip or any software like it to buy books ahead of time and then ship them into FBA for those certain periods of time and make a lot of money doing it. Now, we're passing up the beginning of fall semester, so I think into October is about the end, like end of September. End of October is like the end of fall semester, like book season. So we're approaching the end right now, but that doesn't mean the good thing about that is now you can find cheaper prices. And if you ship them in ahead of time, you're going to make sales for Q4, right? Obviously, because everything goes up in Q4 with e-commerce and there's a lot more sales on Amazon. Plus you can have your inventory in there for January and February for the spring semester people when they're about to buy their books and their textbooks. So it's a great time to buy these books now and learn how to use this software. So just give you a couple of other ones before we jump into the software. I bought this one for $15.64, this one for $20.13, and they haven't sold yet, but they're in FBA. Same thing with this one. I bought this used like new book for 99 cents, shipped it into FBA. I think the buy box price was like $19 for this. So I'm like sharing the buy box right now with like a used, I believe it's like another used like new and a few news that are a little bit higher. So I'm not going to get too much into that specific aspect today. I'm going to show you how to source new books on other websites to then resell. But this is just an example, like I said, right here too. Bought this one for $31.10. I sold it back on Amazon for $79.15, and the profit margin, not counting the seller fees and not counting the shipping, which might have been like 50 cents to ship this book in, right? And the seller fees might have been like $5 to $10. I don't know. I didn't check. But I'm obviously profitable, okay? And I make sure that I'm profitable before I ever buy the book. Now, can the book tank in price? Yeah, but typically they don't tank in price, and they actually go up in price during textbook season, and they actually go up in price in Q4 as well. And really, if you're going to do the product research ahead of time, you're going to know going in full-heartedly that it's going to sell, right? So just like anything, you want to do that product research. Now, how do I go out and find these books? Now, you can sort just through textbooks. One of the other ways I like to do it is I'll go up to no limit right here, and I'll set everything like this, and the minimum price is of 1 cent, and I'll just do a quick search. I do this every once in a while to see if there's any 1 cent books. As you see here, a cent for this book, so I'm paying a cent for this book to my door. So chances are that's profitable. Now this has $3.99 shipping, but often you'll find ones that don't have $3.99 shipping and are literally just a cent in Amazon Prime. The seller probably just matched the buy box price at a cent, and you can get it for a cent to your door. And I've done that, I don't know, 20 to 30 times now, and literally bought 20 to 30 books for a cent a piece. And clearly that's a profitable book, as assuming that you can ship it cheaply, or you can send it into FBA, or you're selling it higher than the fees are, right? So little caveat there. But there's many ways to actually find out how to use this software. So what I like to do, right, is I'm just going to play around with the numbers, and that's pretty much all I've done. I'm going to take, because I want to make sure that the book is still relevant, I'm going to take this all the way up to maybe 2014 as the latest published date, 2014, right? Now the max rank I'm going to set down to we'll go 1 million. Because in books, 1 million, usually I say stay below 100,000 if you don't have any software to figure out how much they're selling. But books sell a lot more on Amazon, so you can get away with selling a book that's all the way up to 1 million. Obviously, still the lower bestseller rank, the better, okay? Now, we're not going to get into eScore or anything like that today. We're just going to focus on bestseller rank, okay? So I'm not focused on any of these. I'm going to say max trade-in value, because that's going to indicate that there's still a value in that book. So it's just an indicator that if it's a textbook, for example, right, that a newer version of that textbook, it isn't probably out yet, and even if it is, that some people still use the old one because there's trade-in value. I'm not focused on either of these. I'm going to focus on the max use price right here, though. So max use price, we're going to raise this up to 4. Max new price will go to 80, and max Amazon price, we're going to go to 50. And I just like to play around with these right here. And you can also have Amazon Smile clicked if you want to just donate all your purchases. Although the specific thing that I'm going to show you right now is you're not buying these on Amazon. So let me show you some data, show you how it works, and show you how I source books. And then you can go out, use this software, play around with these numbers, and play around with these little gauges, and you'll start to understand them more the more you do it. And you can make money pretty easily with this software, although you do need to wait a little bit, because you need to wait for the book to come. Often they're either going to come from Australia or Europe. So obviously I'm in the US. Sometimes they come from the US as well, but you're not buying them from Amazon, so you're not going to get 2-day shipping. So sometimes books come in 3 days. Sometimes they come in 10 days, right? It just depends. So you do need to wait a little bit. You're going to need to front some money. You're going to need to wait a little bit, but then once you ship them into FBA, you can make a really, really, really great profit margin if you can afford to wait maybe 2 weeks and front $20, potentially per book. So the first thing I like to do, right, is I'm going to go through, and there's many different things and ways to use this. You can obviously look at the keepographs. You can go through and calculate your listing price to see if you're profitable, and it's going to show you an estimation of your profit potential. But what I like to do is I'm going to look at what the new price is, because I'm interested right now in buying new books from other websites, not Amazon, shipping them into FBA and winning the buy box, right? So I'm interested in the new price. So I don't care about the used price right now. I'm interested in the new price. This one says $189.22. It's probably a textbook, clearly, which it is, whereas a number of the ones that I bought right here, the one that I made $270.83 off of was a textbook, and I sold it for $309. So this looks like it's promising, but let's see what we can source it through. So I'm going to click the link right here. And that's going to take me to the Amazon listing, so I can make sure that it is indeed actually selling for, if we go to the buy new, okay, it is. It's selling for $201. The buy box is at $201.03, okay? And this is a little bit more, I'm not going to get too into the used part of the buy box, which sometimes you'll see there's a used part of the buy box as well for books. That's going to be a completely different lecture, a completely different video. So I don't want to throw you guys in too many directions. I want to focus on one main way to make money with this, and then maybe I'll make another tutorial in the future, okay? So I'm interested in winning the buy new buy box, which if people are going to buy this new for their class, right, they're going to pay $201.03. Another thing to keep in mind is you'll notice the discrepancy is like some of these are gray and some of these are still green. That's an indicator. If it's gray, that means you've already clicked it and checked it out. If it's green, it means you haven't checked it out or clicked that actual link yet. So it's a good way that eFlip uses to basically make sure that you're not continuously wasting your time clicking links that you've already clicked, okay? Just a little caveat. I actually really, really like this software. So it is selling for $201.03. That's a good indicator, but can we make money off of it? None of it matters if we can't get it cheap enough to make money, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this little drop-down arrow, and I'm going to go to bookfinder. And that's basically the software that's integrated into eFlip that's going to tell me all sorts of places that I can get this both new and used online to find books to then resell back on Amazon for a profit, right? You see in the right column, used books. So I'm not, for this specific example, we're only focused on buying new books that we can ship into FBA to win the buy box at new, right? So we know that the buy box is 201.03, right? Now I'm going to potentially buy this, so I can make money potentially buying this for $119.65. Oh, wait, look, somebody on eBay is literally selling this for $63.24. So let me click this and see if it's actually $63.24 on eBay. Oh, wow, it's $55. It probably is shipping, so it probably ends up being about $63.24 or whatever. So, boom, score. This is a great opportunity right here. So, yeah, it is. So it's going to end up being $59.83. With the $4.83 economy shipping, which means it should come to me by September 20th, and right now it's the 19th of September. So 7 days, about a week till I get it, and then it's maybe like 9 or 10 days till it's into FBA if I ship it in right away. So this is a great opportunity, right? I'm going to buy this, and for like $59.83, so I'm going to potentially resell it for $201.03 if I win the buy box. Let's see if I can make a profit on this, which I already know I can, right? So the product cost was $59.83. Whoa. $59.83. The shipping cost into Amazon, if I ship it in with a bunch of other books, and like I said, I never buy one-off books, but you can, even if you're shipping it into Amazon for $5, still going to make a ridiculous profit on this book specifically. But I'm going to say like 50 cents because I usually ship it in like a box of like 5 to 10 books overall, so it's always super cheap for me to do that. So what is it? What is my actual profit margin then, right? And if I sell this, whoa, hold on. 50 cents, and the product price is not $16.45 because we're going to ship it in and win the buy box as new. So the product price is $201.03. So then what's my profit? My potential profit is $103.06 just buying this one book, shipping it back into FBA, and letting it sit there until it sells as new. And I'm just going to continually, and my software is set up to continually match the buy box for my FBA prices. So eventually it'll sell, even if it drops to $100, which it won't, but let's just assume for the sticklers out there, 101, I'm still making $18.06 on this. So right now, if I sell it for 201, textbook season and Q4 is coming up, in a few months, and Q4 is obviously right now. So I'm gonna assume that I'm probably gonna make a good $100 on this book. Now I do need to wait a week to get it and ship it into FBA, right? I do need to front the $59.83. So if you're a little bit tight on money or you don't have any funds to basically scale up and buy a bunch of books, this business model might not be the best for you, but if you do have, $100 or a couple $100, you can buy cheaper books. There's a lot of books on here that you can buy for like $10, ship them in and sell them for like $80, right? So you just need to do a little bit more research and figure out books that are better for your price range and what you have. Now, I'm not too worried about that, but this is what I do. This is a great book. I'm actually going to buy this as soon as this is done. This is a great example of a book that I'm literally using eFlip to use their software, which is then becomes bookfinder.com, buy it on eBay. So it literally found the item for me on eBay, brand new college mathematics with early integers, boom. And there we go, $100. It took me 5 minutes, if that, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. It was literally the first book I checked right here. So, and now imagine if you continue to scroll down. Let me do one more really fast. So let's try, let me move this over here so I don't get lost because I'm literally going to buy this after this lecture's over. So right here, let's see, 244, I'll do one more with you. 244.45, Introduction to Management and Science. And remember too that often, like, there's no picture here, but that doesn't necessarily matter if it's still selling well, which it is, 89. Let's see what this one was selling for. Forgot to check that. I got too excited. 304, so 302,000 in books is still pretty solid. So let's see, Jungle Scout, I'm probably not logged in. Oh, I am. So 6 sales a day, 215 a month, still at 302,000 in books. Pretty solid book. I'm going to sell it eventually. And there's only 6 new people selling this, so I'm eventually going to sell this, especially during textbook season in January and February, but definitely probably before that in Q4. I would assume this is probably going to sell in maybe like a couple weeks to a month. And then obviously if I have to, I'll wait till textbook season. No big deal. I'm going to eventually profit. So let's, like I said, go through one more. Introduction to Management and Science usually sells, it looks like a textbook, for $244. And you can check all these too. They might be good. But another thing to keep in mind is even if this sells for $244, sometimes, and not often, but every once in a while, I'll check Bookfinder, and there won't be a profit to be made. Maybe you're buying it for like $200, or maybe you're buying it for like $230, and then it doesn't make sense to buy it, ship it into FBA, because then you're going to lose money by what you purchased, the fees, and then shipping it into FBA, the fees to sell on Amazon, right? So it doesn't always work out that easily, but quite often it actually does. So let me see what the buy box price for this one is. I don't know why I X'd out of it already. Buy box price to buy this new, and there's only 4 people on the listing to buy it new, is $245.32. So let's check Bookfinder to see if we can actually source this profitably. And we can. Look, boom. There's a lot of ones. I'm going to actually buy all of these. Look, I can buy all of these brand new ones. So this is an example of one right here. So some of these are like Australia, and some of these, it looks like they're all United States, but this one's India. So every once in a while, they will ship from other countries. You need to keep that in mind, because then it might take, 2 weeks to get to you. But just keep that in mind. All these ship from the US. I can buy $20, $20, $20, $21, $21. Now let me check this and make sure that it is, but I bought from this Abe Books countless times, and I bought from Biblio as well. I don't think I've ever bought from Velour yet. And look, boom, brand new. I can source, it looks like they have 2 of these, so I can source 2 of these for $20.06, and they're brand new. It ships from Delaware, and I'm really close to Delaware, so I'll probably get this within a week, probably even faster. So I'm going to buy this for $20.06, and I can resell it back on Amazon for $245.32 freaking cents. So what's my profit margin, right? It was $20.32, I think. Where am I at? $20.06. Excuse me. Was that free shipping? Yeah, it is. So $20.06 to ship it into FBA, because I'm going to buy a bunch of them. I'm going to even say like 10 cents, because I'm probably going to buy maybe 10 of these, and just ship them into FBA and just wait on them, and eventually I'll profit a ridiculous amount. So let's say I ship it in for 10 cents, or let's even say like 30 cents. And I'm going to ship all 10 of them in, probably with other books. There's like 20 right there on the ledge behind me that I'm waiting on another shipment for. I'll probably ship them all in, and maybe like 1 or 2 boxes to FBA. So it'll end up being super, super cheap. And let's see, the product price is $245.32. It might go up a little bit. It might go down a little bit. But even still, my profit is $180.66. I'm not making this up, guys. You can hop on eFlip right now. I think there's a 30-day free trial. I don't remember if it was 30 days or 10 days, but you can hop on. There's a trial. Test it out for yourself. There's a ridiculous amount of books out there, and you can use this software to find discrepancies in prices on book sites like Abe's Books, or Biblio, or Velour, or even eBay quite often, and find discrepancies in prices, source them super cheap, ship them into FBA, and make a ridiculous markup in profit. And I want to show you an example, or a couple examples. I probably have about 20 or 30 good ones, but I didn't want to waste like an hour going through and finding good flips for you that I've actually bought on one marketplace and sold back on Amazon for a ridiculous profit, right? So to show you examples of how you can do this really fast, you'll see here I bought Fundamentals of Financial Management, all spoon-fed to me through the eFlip software, right? Bought this book right here for $42.99 to my door, ended up flipping it back on Amazon for about $239.97. Now, obviously, that doesn't count the fees, so I don't know exactly what the fees were. I didn't look into it too heavily, and I don't usually keep track of it like in a PowerPoint presentation like this. I just wanted to visually show you, look, here's the proof of the purchase. Here's the sale, right? I usually keep, track of it in spreadsheets like this. I have about 6 different spreadsheets depending on the month or when I purchased it. And I'll go through how to actually set this up too. So I keep track of, obviously the book title, the link to it on Amazon, so I can just relist it really fast. Whether or not it's sold yet, whether or not I've received it yet, whether or not it's an FBA, right? All that stuff. The purchase price, what it's sold for, the profit, etc., 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 okay? And where I obviously purchased it from as well. So I have a couple of these spreadsheets, but I'm going to show you examples of different book purchases that I bought resold for a profit, and how easy it is to do that. And then we'll get into the eFlip software a little bit, and I'll run you through a quick tutorial so that after watching this video, you can literally hop on and do this yourself to make good money flipping books, okay? So, like I said, perfect example right here. Here's another example. Now, I bought more than 3 of these, but only 3 of them have currently sold. So, look, I bought this one right here, $13.93. I resold it back online for $61.41, it looks like, after the tax. So, it looks like the sale price was $56.73. Same thing right here. Purchased it again for $14.99. Resold it back for, again, $56.73. Same thing here. Purchased it again, $14.99. It's a different seller. Sold it back for $56.73. So I'm not sure exactly what that margin is. Obviously, that doesn't count fees, but I believe it was like a $20, $25 margin or something like that. This was probably like $150, if not more margin, because obviously if you're selling it at like $239.97, the fee's going to be slightly high, so it might be like a $40 or $50 fee. I'm not really sure, because obviously they take a percentage of the sale a little bit. They have like the referral fee to sell it on Amazon. They have the FBA fee, right? The weight or the storage and all that good stuff. So, I might have made, I don't know, $150, $160 on this total after the purchase price and after, the seller fees. I'm not really sure. I could look into it on my spreadsheet if I wanted to. So here's another example. Purchased this one on eBay for, after shipping, it looks like it's $28.58. Resold it for $115.56, so that's another great profit margin. So that's just 3 examples, or, I guess it's 5 if you count these as 3. I'm not going to go through and outline about 30 of them because it would take me an hour or 2 to kind of set this up and kind of go ahead and be like, okay, here's the proof of the purchase, because I have to go find the actual order, go find the purchase, right? Take the picture, then go find the sale, take the picture. It's not really worth it. I just wanted to show you some examples that you can literally do this, right? Because a lot of people can talk and say, oh, you could do this, but then they don't actually show that they are doing it as well, and that there's, proof behind the actual concept, right? Because you want to prove the concept and then you want to scale it up, just like in any business. So prove a concept, scale it up. Now, just to, keep it 100% real with you, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, okay? So let's say I buy, and these are made up fabricated numbers, but let's say I buy 200 books within a month, right? And with the eFlip software that I plan on flipping back on Amazon for a profit, right? Are they all profitable? No. Do they all look profitable initially? Yes, of course. But with books, there's a lot of different factors that come into it, right? So there's 2 different buy boxes usually. There's a used buy box and a new buy box, and you'll see that once we start hopping into the eFlip software and I show you how to source, right? And more importantly, the bestseller rank sometimes can fluctuate a little bit. So it can go up, it can go down, depending on if it's Q4, which it currently is, or if it's, textbook season, which is currently not, but textbook season, spring textbook season comes right after Q4, I believe at the end of January and early February. I'd have to brush up on that, but it comes right after Q4. So a lot of sales currently right now. So what I'm saying is the bestseller rank and the sales velocity of books can fluctuate a little bit. Same thing with the competition, right? So if somebody else buys this book, hops on the listing, for example, and lowers the price all the way down, and I'm not actively managing that, right, because I use repricing software to reprice all my stuff, then my software might end up matching their buy box price, and it might sell for a lower profit or a lower sale price than I initially anticipated, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So if you're not using repricing software, you can obviously manually adjust that stuff, and you don't have to worry about selling it too low just because you're matching the buy box. You can keep your price high, wait for somebody else to sell it, and then you'll still make that margin, right? But because I do use automation and repricing software, this does happen from time to time. So I just wanted to show you proof that everything is not always profitable. The majority of stuff is profitable. The best thing that you want to do, and this is true across arbitrage business models, right, guys? So, for example, sometimes with a coupon product, you'll buy it and you can't sell it. For example, sometimes with a cashback product, you buy it and you can't sell it, right? So then, yeah, you might have gotten it for free, but if you can't sell it, you're not making any money, right? So there's different drawbacks to each business model, but obviously the majority of things you're gonna sell for a profit. So that's where the scale comes into it, right? So obviously, let's say hypothetically I buy 200 books within a given month auto resell. Maybe 100 of them are profitable. Maybe 50 of them have not sold yet. They're still waiting into FBA. And maybe 30 of them or 35 of them I haven't sold yet, and maybe 10 of them or whatever. I don't even know if that adds up to 200, but just stick with me. And maybe 10 of them I didn't anticipate the bestseller rank would drop or somebody else would hop on the listing. So it doesn't happen frequently, and your numbers might be different, right? So let's say hypothetically you bought 10 books, right? You only did it a little bit. You bought 10 books. Maybe 9 of them are profitable, or let's say maybe 7 of them are profitable, and you end up netting a couple $100, right? and then 2 of them still haven't sold yet, so now you're at 9, so you have 2 books still in inventory in FBA, and one of them was not profitable because you anticipated a higher selling price than what it sold for, right? So you might make a couple $100 on like 7 books, you still have 2 in your FBA inventory, and then maybe you lost like $10 on 1 book, right? So to give you an example, here's an example right here. I'm actually down on this book right here. I lost $17.59, but that's okay because I'm making $50, $20, $10, $100 sometimes, $150 sometimes on other books. So it's risk. It is a risk to buy a book, just like anything. But if you're vetting products right, if you're vetting books right, and if you go through the checklist that I go over countless times in my eFlip tutorials, you will see that, yeah, it's possible to lose potential money on a book sometimes, but the far majority of books outweigh that because you're going to make good money on them. So I just wanted to, keep it real with you guys. Obviously, I lost a little bit of money on this book after purchase price was $31.74. I sold it for $24.95, and obviously counting the fees, that ended up netting me a loss, right? So I lost money on this book, but that's few and far between if you're vetting products right. It does happen to me, from time to time. Nobody's perfect. It's going to happen to you if you start doing this as well. But the far, far, far majority of your books will be profitable, and you will make good money. I just wanted to kind of curb your expectations a little bit so that you don't think like, hey, I'm going to buy 100 books and every single one of them is going to be $100 profit. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes they fluctuate and you'll make more money than you anticipated, and other times you'll make a little bit less, and other times you might not make any money, right? It all goes back to, just like any arbitrage business model, the more you start sourcing, the more you do it, the better you will get in anticipating profit margins and staying consistent, okay? So it's not a big deal. I just wanted to keep it real with you. So basically there's 2 ways to make money with eFlip, right? You can either set it up to only source specifically on Amazon and only look for Amazon books, right, where there's a discrepancy in used books, right? So you're strictly sourcing Amazon used books. For example, somebody selling a book as a merchant fulfilled seller for like $10, but the buy box price as a used book, because there's a used buy box with books, is selling it for like $40, right? Because it's usually prime, right? So you can then buy it from the merchant seller, ship it into Amazon FBA, right, and sell it as a prime book for a lot more and make the margin. That's the first way. But today we're going to focus more on how you can basically sort from, or basically set this up so that you can check potential book leads on Amazon and then see if there's other marketplaces, so like other book marketplaces or other sales places where you can buy that book for a lower price and then send it into FBA to make the margin, right? So basically used books and new books. So how do you set this up? Well, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and you kind of want to, mess it around a little bit, just like any software. So if you have any experience with private label products and like Jungle Scout, you kind of want to play around with this, and you kind of want to get different looks of books that other people might not be seeing, and you also want to keep it, you want to kind of go real specific and then slowly broaden out your search results. So to give you an example of how I'm going to set this up, and it's literally different every single time, right? So that I'm always seeing different books. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go max publish date, like 2008, right? I'm also going to go max sales rank of like, let's go, didn't mean to do that. That was on the wrong one. So max published or max rank will go like 1,999, right? So a perfect example of that is like, instead of going 200,000, why don't you go like 199,000 so that you're seeing all the other books that somebody just putting in 200,000 wouldn't see, right? So you're seeing like a potential 100 other books. So let's go 199,000 right here in the, messed that up, wrong one again. I'm all over the place this morning. Oh my. Stick with me, guys. So we have max rank now, 199,000, max publish date 2017, and a minimum publish date of 2018. Obviously, no minimum rank. So used offers, there's going to be no limit on the max, no limit on the max for me. Minimum used offers, we'll set it to like one minimum used offer and like, I don't know, 12 max used offers, right? So new offers will go 9 and we'll go 1. So actually, you know what? Let's broaden it a little bit. We'll go 12. So now max trade-in value will go like $5 for trade-in value, because that basically indicates that if it's a textbook potentially, and you're not always sourcing textbooks. I've sold plenty of other books that aren't textbooks that are profitable, right? But because it's the end of Q4 and we're about to move into textbook season, I'm definitely buying a lot of textbooks as my inventory because I know that they will sell for a ridiculous margin. at the end of Q4 and into textbook season in the spring, okay? So I want a max trade-in value of at least $5 potentially. Sometimes I make that 3, sometimes I make it 12, sometimes I make it 15. Like I said, I switch it up every time to get different looks of different books that the software is going to spit out to me, okay? So the whole thing behind the trade-in value is if you put a little bit of trade-in value, it still makes sure that your book is current, right? Because there's still a trade-in value for it, then it's still being used in some place, right? In some college, there's still a potential variation or version of that book that is being used and it's not completely outdated, right? Because the worst thing that you could potentially do, well, not the worst thing, because you could always return it potentially, but one of the worst things you could do is buy a version of a book that's outdated that nobody uses anymore, hence also the minimum and max publish date, okay? So if you don't understand that, it's fine, but that's just play around with these numbers, you'll get better at it, okay? So max Amazon price, we'll say like the minimum Amazon price, we'll say like $33. We'll say minimum new price is $33. We'll also say that the limit is like $405, $405 listed as new. We'll say the max used price, minimum used price, we'll say 50 cents. Let's go dollar. Max use price will say like if the minimum use price is 33, we'll say max use price of like 9, right? Boom. Now we have everything, so we're going to spit it out right here and hit search and see what it pulls up for us. All right, so those search parameters were a little too specific, so it didn't really spit too many books out for us, so I kind of went out and adjusted them a little bit. I dropped the offers all the way up to a max, because obviously if I had more time to do this by myself, right, or sit here and source by myself, I'd play around with them to get specific numbers so that I could see good products that I haven't seen before. But just for the sake of kind of demonstrating how this software spits out potential book leads to you, I just want to give you an example really fast. I dropped the minimum price all the way down to 0, and I dropped the max price all the way up to 20. I also added no limit to the offers right here, so just a little bit of a change, okay? So, and also dropped the max trade-in value down to 3. So obviously, in the future, if you're doing this, you can kind of make them a little bit more specific slowly and then hone it in that way if you want to, and then search that way. All right, so it spit out a good number of books. So just like I said right here, one of the best ways that you can utilize this software is you want to click this right here. And one of the best things too is you'll notice that some of them are green and some of them are like gray. So see how this one's gray and this one's still green? That means that I've clicked this one and I've already checked it out. So that's one of my favorite things about this software is it's already going to tell you that you've looked at this book, so you don't want to do it again. So let's scroll all the way up. Let's check out Adobe Photoshop Lightroom CC book. So this one might be a good one. We're going to click the link and it's going to take us to Amazon, right? So there's two ways to basically source this, like I said before. So if we keep this page open and we open this in a new tab because we're interested in the buy box prices, right? So two ways, like I said before, I'll give you the brief one of used really fast and then we'll hop into the new sourcing. So with the used, you'll see that there's both a used and a new buy box. So the used buy box is currently at a used good condition and it sells for $22. But see here, if you go back to the original page, there's somebody also selling a merchant fulfilled book right here as used good. So they're fulfilling it by merchant and they're only selling it for like, what is that? Like $9, $9.50. So there's a potential profit margin there of $12 to be made if you can buy it from this seller, ship it into FBA, and then sell it for $22, right? So I always ship a number of books in at once. I'm never just shipping this book into FBA. If you just ship one book into FBA, it's going to end up costing you like $4 or $5 per book because it costs you like $4 or $5 to ship a box in, right? But if you ship like 10 or 50 books in at once, then it's practically going to negate the shipping cost. I think I just made up a word. It's going to negate the shipping cost because you're shipping so many books in at once, so then it might end up costing you like 20 cents a book or like 50 cents a book. So that makes a huge difference in your cost, right? So I'm going to hit the AMZ Scout calculator here and we're going to try to run these numbers. This still isn't working for me. It's kind of pissing me off. So it hasn't been working recently, so I have to look into why this plugin stopped working. So I'll just pull up the FBA calculator right here, and we're going to run through an example of whether or not this would be a profitable used book to do, right? So let's take the ISBN, and we're going to take it into Seller Central to see if we can sell it. So can we sell it? And we can sell it in new and collectible and used condition. So with books, and this is a mistake I made initially, so I'm not perfect, I make mistakes too. I thought that books were a completely ungated category because they've always practically been that you could resell any book. Now, that is usually the case with about 99.9% of books. However, that said, there are some books that are like really, really low rank that you are gated to sell. So just make it a habit of always checking if you can sell it, regardless of the online arbitrage business model. Even though 99.9% of the time with books, you will be able to sell it. but just check so that that one-off potential case you're aware, okay? So we can sell it. Now it's taken into FBA, and we'll take that same ISBN into the FBA calculator because we don't have the freaking plugin that just pops up on the page some reason. So let's select it, and this is just going to give us an indicator of the potential costs that they're gonna have for keeping this into FBA, so we know if it's a profitable item, right? And I probably will barely make any money buying this used for whatever that is. So $525. Let's add it up really fast because that's going to be relevant. So let's slide this over really fast. So we have $525 plus $3.99 for shipping plus 56 cents for tax, and then it ends up costing us $9.80. So if we come back, the cost of our product is going to be $9.80, right, to ship it into FBA. The ship to Amazon, I'm going to estimate like 50 cents, even though it'll probably be a lot cheaper than that because I'm going to ship like 50 books in at once. I just sent a recent shipment. It was like 87 books, and it was practically negated the cost. So I think it was 3 boxes, 87 books total, and every single book ended up being like 10 cents a book. It was super cheap. So back to this now. What's the item price? It was $22 if we sell it from the new used buy box, which we can obviously match the price and potentially share the buy box because they're both going to be used good conditions, and my seller metrics are good. Seller metrics don't play a huge part in getting the buy box. It's more about price and availability to the customer. So if you match the price and you also have it into FBA as somebody else does, your availability to the customer is going to be relatively similar. Your price is going to be the same, so chances are you will share the buy box for the majority of the time, okay? So the price is, I already forget that, is $22. So let's see if we're then profitable. And we're profitable, but only by 85 cents. So it's clearly not worth it to buy this book as used from this seller right here and resell it and ship it into FBA to sell it for $22, right? Now, sometimes there'll be a bigger discrepancy, so this will be cheaper, right? The cheapest used book will be cheaper, and the buy box will be higher, right? And then there's obviously a better margin there, so that might be a way that you want to go do it. That's a perfect example of sourcing it as used. So instead, we're going to actually see if this is a profitable book to source new. So then we're concerned with the buy box new price, which is $36, right? So same thing. If you come back into the same listing right here on eFlip and you come down to the bookfinder right here, it's basically attached to bookfinding software that's going to shoot out all the potential sale prices across the web, right? And that's a great resource to have, so you can see if you can buy this for cheaper potentially and then ship it into FBA and resell it. So you'll also see over here it's going to list you the used books and all the prices and where they're potentially selling at. So that's another great way you can check if you're going used books. But I'm interested, like we talked about, with the new books. So over here, somebody's selling it on eBay for $21.99. It looks like somebody's selling it for $25.94, etc., etc., etc. Now, you always want to make sure with new books that you're not buying an international edition. So always read the description to make sure that it's not an international edition. Sometimes it will be international, and then avoid that. I've talked about that in the past. But for the majority of books that you're sourcing through, just check if it's an international edition or not, okay? If it's not an international and doesn't say anything about that, then you're allowed to resell it. So just check, like I said, just like checking to see if you can sell it, just go through that as a rule of thumb to make sure. Not saying it will happen to you, but you always just want to make sure, okay? So this is probably not profitable. You're going to buy it for $21.99. It only resells back for $36, so let's change these then. If the item price is $36, it costs us another 50 cents to ship it into FBA, and our cost of the product is $21.99. It's probably going to tell us that we're not profitable if we calculate, and we are still profitable, but again, 56 cents, so not worth it. So let's X out of those then, and I'll take you through another example. We're going to sort through one more right here really fast, and we'll see if it's profitable, but obviously there are a number of other books to sort through here. So what I like to do is I'll just put in some good music, or, if there's like 10-15 minutes where like I'm bored on a Sunday. Usually I do this a lot on Sundays, right, when I'm watching football and I'm watching Red Zone. I love it. I'll set my computer up on the table, pop Red Zone on, watch Red Zone, source a bunch of books, and I'm probably, 20 books deep on a Sunday, just buying books, and it's a great kind of way to make money while I'm enjoying my football Sunday, okay? So whenever you have free time, sort through a couple books, right? If you want to turn this into a full-time business, then obviously you can sort for hours if you want to, but I just kind of like to do it sporadically, and I'm probably buying anywhere from like 5 to 10 books a day, but those margins, like I showed you before, can be all the way up to $150 depending. Now, they're not always $150. Some of them are lower. Some of them are like $10. Some of them are $5. Some of them are $20. But the majority of books that I'm buying from eFlip are usually really good margins. So let's try one more really fast. We're going to click this again, and it's going to take us here. So is there an opportunity to buy it used and resell it as used, or is there an opportunity to buy it new and resell it as new? let's check it out. So it looks like the used price right here is about, what is that? Like almost 15 bucks, because this is almost, so, or that's not 15, I can't add. What is that? 11, I can't do math today, almost 12 bucks. So let's open up this other tab because we're interested in the buy box prices, right? So the used buy box is $18.97, so there's probably not a margin there to buy it from this seller right here at 12 bucks and then ship it into FBA for 18. I probably won't net anything. I might even lose a little bit of money. So you can't buy it as used, it looks like right there, but can you buy it as new? And keep in mind that you can also sort through this, like I'm going to show you in a second. You can go to bookfinder and see if there's a better opportunity to buy it used on another marketplace, which I rarely do that. It looks like somebody's selling it on eBay for $10.11, so it's a little bit cheaper, but still probably not a good margin. I'll take it in just to show you anyway. Although you'll get better at kind of seeing ahead of time, so you don't have to waste your time with this. I already know it's either going to net me practically nothing again, or I'm going to lose money on it. But let's just check for the sake of showing you really fast before we check the new. So used buy box price is $18.97. Shipped to Amazon will estimate 50 cents, but like I said, it's usually cheaper than 50 cents, and my cost of the product, if I buy it on eBay, is $10.11. So $10.11 then. Am I going to make any money or not after fees? I'm actually going to lose $169 after fees, so that's a bad product, right? So same thing goes. Let's reboot this. I don't know why I just went back. I didn't have to do that. I also want to check with that ISBN if I can even sell it first, because if I can't sell it, none of this matters. So I can sell it in new collectible and used conditions. Always go through that as a part of your checklist. So now we're interested in the buy box new price. And the buy box new price is about $101.32. So let's go check to see if there's an opportunity here. And it looks like there is. This is a great opportunity. So I'm probably going to buy this book if it checks out. So on eBay, boom. Somebody's selling it for $29.99. It doesn't say anything about potentially having it as an international edition, so let's click the listing and check it out. And it's going to take us to the listing. Is this an international edition? I don't see anything international. I don't see anything international, and obviously I had to read through this really fast to make sure, so I'm going to do that after this, but I'm not going to read through it on the, right here, right now to, basically waste your time, but I'm obviously going to make sure, always check to see if there's anything in there that says international edition. It doesn't look like this is, so this looks like it's a good product, so $29.99, so then if I sell it, and we search that again, right, that's the same book, right, it is. We search that again, so the item price, then if I sell it as new and ship it into FBA to get the new buy box, is $101.32. So $101.32, shipping to FBA is going to stay 50 cents, and then our cost of product, I believe, was $29.99. It was $29.99. Boom. So let's see what we're going to make. Perfect example right here. I rest my case. So you're going to make about $50 margin on this if you buy it for $29.99. Ship it into FBA and sell it and match the buy box price at $101.32. I'm going to buy this as soon as this video ends. This is a perfect example of another book, and it might not sell right away. Another thing to keep in mind is the potential bestseller rank of a book, right? But if you're setting your eFlip software up to, relatively low on max rank, you don't really need to worry about it, but I always tell people you can really go up to books all the way up to 1 million bestseller rank, but keep in mind that you're going to be sitting on them for a while, right? So if you want to flip books faster, maybe stay underneath 250,000, or if you really want to wait on a book for like a couple weeks, maybe go up to like 500,000. But I'd keep it obviously just like any other form of arbitrage. The lower bestseller rank indicates more potential sales. Now books sell more frequently, right? So a 200,000 rank in books is going to sell a lot more than a 200,000 rank, which is practically selling nothing in another category, right? So it's a different thing, but like I said, the more you source, the better you'll get at it. So what's the bestseller rank of this one? 91,000. It's obviously selling very well. And if Jungle Scout's working, which clearly my Google Chrome has stopped working, it's just frustrating with me, and I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. But it's clearly selling very, very well, so this will flip fairly quickly. So perfect example of a good book that you can buy using the eFlip software. I would have never found this if eFlip didn't spit this out for me. It was literally the second one. So if I wasn't creating this tutorial right now, I would have found that in like a minute, and boom, I've already made $50 in like a minute just buying this, shipping into FBA, super, super simple. And that's just one example of books, guys. You can scale this up to the max. The very first thing that I like to do when I log into eFlip is I'm trying to get, as many sales as potentially possible because I'm going after maximum approval. Maximum approval is, essentially 2,000 sales in a 6-month period. Now, that's speculative. Nobody really knows. But I've heard many people say that if you can hit that number roughly, you can practically request to get ungated in a number of brands and a number of categories. And so that is my goal. I want to test it out and see for myself. So I'm always going after free books and very, very cheap books just to get sales, right? But I'm also sourcing very, high profit margin books to make money, right? I'm going after both of them. So the very first thing that I do is I'll sort, it starts like this right here when you have your ranks like down here roughly when you log into eFlip, okay? So what I usually like to do is I'll put the max rank all the way up just to see if there's any cheap books, and I'll hit search. And as you can see here, there's a book for 10 cents right here. So you're literally, if I click on this, you're literally getting this book for 10 cents to your door, and then you can obviously resell it. So it's basically a free book that you can then resell, and that's another sale, right? So then I only need, 5,999 sales in a 6-month period and not 6,000, right? So that's just my overall thought process there. This is a great way to kind of source free and cheap books using eFlip. Now, there's a number of other ways to source free books. You can go to Craigslist and pick up free inventory. I've done it on Letgo. I've done it on OfferUp, and, practically, I think I gotten like 2,000 books. Maybe I'll flash a couple of those pictures up on the screen if I can find them. So it's easy ways to source cheap inventory, although keep in mind, the majority of those books you won't make a lot of money on. You're just looking for the sales. Now, don't get me wrong. There's the occasional book in there that does sell for like 50 or like $100, or like, there's a good amount of them that sell for like 10 and 20, and then you're still making money. But it's a lot of work, and the majority of them, you're breaking even or sometimes even losing money depending on the book. So keep that in mind with the free books. Although I'm not particular, I don't care about losing, like 10 cents on a book here and there, or even, listing them all to make like $1 or $2, because yeah, it's a lot of work, but I'm going after the sales for maximum approval. So just wanted to kind of spitball that there. Give you some ideas, something to think about if you want to go that same route. But today I want to show you how to use eFlip to source books to make money, right? Because that's probably 99.9% of what people watching want to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a number of different things, and I always use these bars right here differently each time I source so that I get different looks on different books each time, right? I want to go after different books because what I do is I sort this. Sometimes, usually I do it on like Sunday when I'm watching football. I'll literally pop Red Zone on and I'll go through eFlip and I'll sort through like a couple hundred books, and maybe I'll end up buying like 20 to 50 depending on how many good books I'm offering. Now, when I say these numbers and I'm like, oh, I usually source 20 books or I usually source 20 products, guys, that is if there are that many good products or that many good books, okay? So don't just go out and source that number because I said that's what I source. That is assuming the fact that I found 20 good offers, right? Or 50 good offers. I'm not just sourcing to source. I'm only sourcing profitable books that I know are going to sell, okay? And same thing with any other form of arbitrage. You're not just going after the numbers. Your goal is to make money, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up to like 2000, and we'll go to 2010. Because I want more relevant books that are still in use, right? So we'll drop the max rank all the way down to like, we'll go $399.99, and we'll also go $399.99 here. Because books, my usual rule of thumb for most categories is 100,000, but because we're moving into the heart of Q4, what is a 399,000 rank? Well, first and foremost, books sell a lot more, so like something that's 500,000 in books might actually be selling, whereas something that's 500,000 in a different category might be selling literally zero and have never sold before, right? So it's different. Books have a higher sales velocity. Usually, do your product research. Each book is different, okay? But generally speaking, you can sell a book that has a higher bestseller rank because it does have sales. And I'm sourcing these a little bit higher right here because I know firsthand that that bestseller rank is going to drop a little bit as we move into the heart of Q4 and into textbook season. So I'm looking for good opportunities to, source good inventory right now that I can then make money off of in the future. $399 max rank, right? So max new offers, I'm not going to change this. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Usually I do, but I'm just going to keep it that way today. Max trade-in values, no limit. Minimum trade-in value will go like we'll go like $2, okay? We'll start low. So what I like to do is I like to start really, really broad, right? And if there's a number of searches, then I'll slowly kind of make it specific and I'll hone it in and then I'll sort through, right? But for the sake of just showing you today, I'm going to start really broad and then obviously you'd hit search, right? And if it comes up with a number of different things and you're sorting through some books and maybe you sort like through 10 or 20 and you're not finding a good one, right, then you want to go back and make your searches more specific. So then maybe you'd come up and you'd make this like $2.50, right? Or maybe you make this like $4, right? And that's my approach, but you can approach it however you want. That's just what works for me, okay? So maximum Amazon price, I'm not going to set a max. So we'll go minimum Amazon price, we'll go like $12. We'll also go minimum new price $12, and we'll go minimum used price, we'll go $3. And we'll hit search and we'll see what pops up. But I'm going to keep it really, really broad real fast, and then we'll make it more specific as we go. So right off the bat, and this is not always the case, but this is what I use to kind of decipher what might be a good book buy and what might not be. So I look for the discrepancy in used versus new, right? Now that is not always an indicator, but it is a good indication of something that might be a good potential profit margin. So we'll pull up let's go through the first one real fast. So Transforming Healthcare, Virginia Mason. And one thing I do like about eFlip as well is if you click one of the books, it'll go gray, right? So then it'll not only show you green, which one you've clicked last and which one you're focused on, but it'll also show you which ones you haven't clicked and which ones you have. So this one's gray, obviously, and if I click down on something else, you'd see that. And the rest of them are still green because I haven't clicked and checked out those books yet. So the very first thing I want to do, right, is I want to see, all right, is it a good opportunity to buy it used potentially, and is it a good opportunity to buy it new? So there's two different things there, right? So the cheapest book right here is used good, and we have a few of them right here at like $6, right over $6. So then I want to see what the buy box price is, because with books, there's usually a buy box for new and a buy box for used, okay? So the buy box new, there's not really an opportunity there to make a good book, because even if we sell it at $11.49, it's going to cost us more in Amazon fees and shipping in usually. Let's see if AMZ Scout Calculator works. It was working earlier. Let's pull up the Fba Calculator. A lot going wrong in this tutorial, but we're going to power through it. That's what entrepreneurs do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come down and we'll take the ASIN or the ISBN for books, right? And we're going to paste that in. Now we want to select one that has the product details in there because we're really just focused on the weight and the size of the book to get good indicator of whether or not it'll be profitable based on historical fees that Amazon charges for that type of product, right? So our price, and I'm going to show you that this is not profitable buying it, selling used, is about $11.50, right? So we'll say $11.49. Shipping into Amazon, we'll say 50 cents, even though it'll probably be a little bit cheaper because I ship in a bunch of books at once or a bunch of products at once. I never ship one-off books or even like a couple books at once. And the cost of our product, I think, was like $6, right? So just off the bat, we'll show you how unprofitable this is. Net margin of negative $3.35. So clearly there's not an opportunity to buy this used on Amazon, right? And then ship it into FBA to get the buy box and resell it as used. Although you can do that from time to time, right? So another way that you can check used that I do from time to time, but not always, is I'll come into bookfinder right here, and that's going to run the used on the right and the new offers on the left, right? What the heck? Excel's freaking out. So the cheapest that you can get this book used, and make sure always that you're not going after teacher, the instructor edition or the international edition. It must be the same edition that is listed on the product detail page. So no international editions, no instructor editions. Just make sure that you read the description. Just cross that off your checklist of everything that you're checking out when you're buying and sourcing a good book. So this is on Biblio for $3.88, but I'm pretty sure that still would be a bad profit margin. If we put $3.88 in there, it's probably still going to be negative. Yeah, negative $1. So not a good opportunity to buy this book anywhere used and then resell it, right? But can we buy it new? Is there a good opportunity new? So the new buy box here is $38.12, right? So we want to come back and we will see, okay, if we buy this on eBay for $25, would it be profitable, right? So if we change these numbers right here to 30, we'll go 38 just roughly, and we'll go, the buy box price was 25, or the price on eBay was 25. Is it a profitable product? And it is, but barely at 18 cents. So that's still not a good product, okay? And I practically knew that going in because the discrepancy there isn't that great. And I would probably want to go after and look at other and kind of hone down my searches. But for the sake of showing you examples here of why they might be bad or why they might not be good books to source or why they might be, I'm going to keep it broad and show you, right? So now I'm also looking for discrepancies, and this might end up being a good book, but the discrepancy right here in used and new prices, as you can see in these things, is not even close to some of these other ones, right? So I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to check the other ones first. So I might check this one because that's a $22 discrepancy. I might check this one because that's almost a $40 discrepancy, if not a little bit more. And same thing with this one, right? So the 78. So let's pull up getting to know whatever that is real fast, and we'll check that out. So used very good for $11.98 or roughly 12, maybe almost $13 with tax, right? So then we're going to check the buy boxes, right? So the used buy box right here is $29.75, okay? And they have a used good, and we're going to buy a used very good, so a better condition for maybe like $13. So let's take this product to ASIN or ISBN. I always say ASIN, but books are ISBN. It's the same thing. It's just the book version of the ASIN, right? So we're going to try another product, and we're going to paste that into the Fba Calculator to see if it's profitable. Shipping to Amazon will estimate 50 cents, even though that's a bit high, but I like to be a little bit more conservative just to adjust for any potential pricing discrepancies or changes. I just like to be a little bit more conservative. Our item price, so the item price is $29.75, right? That's the buy box price. And we might even be able to sell it a little bit higher because my metrics are good. My seller metrics are good, and we're going to have a very good book versus a good book, right? So the better, condition and better seller metrics means you can probably sell it a little bit higher price, but I don't like to bank on that. That's something I'll test when I get into inventory, right? I want to make sure that it's profitable for sure ahead of time. So we have all those numbers. What are we going to source it for, right? We'll estimate a little bit over, right? So about $12 plus 72, so we'll estimate about $13. So is that profitable if we source that? And it is, but it's only profitable for about $4. So then you have to ask yourself, is this something you'd want to go after? Now, this is something I'd probably go after, right? Because I have a little bit more capital to throw at books, and I'm more interested in sales, right? Because like I told you before, yeah, I want to make money, and making money is my number one priority on these books, but I'll also buy cheap books, and I'll also buy, books like this with lower profit margins just to get the sale for me. Because I know full-heartedly that I'm also going after maximum approval, and I need to hit 6,000 sales in a 6-month period, right? So not the best opportunity to buy a used book. I'm going to keep that one on the side. But you can still buy it, and it is still profitable, and you end up making maybe like $3 or $4 depending on that. So if we put the real numbers in here, let's say hypothetically I sold this at like 32, right? Because I could get the buy box at a little bit higher of a price. Now, that's not something that I'd bank on, and that's not something that is 100% sure. I very well might not be able to. But let's just see the numbers. So let's assume if we put the real numbers in here at like $12.78, which I think it was roughly with the tax, right? And I assumed I could sell it a little bit higher. Well, then that changes the game a little bit, because then you're buying the product for about $12.78, and you're getting like a 50% profit margin, right? So I always like to take a conservative estimate with the calculator, but that's just the way that I approach it, okay? So let's see if this is a good opportunity to buy it new. And keep in mind, too, that I wouldn't just buy this one. I'd probably buy this one, and I'd probably buy this one. And then I wouldn't buy the acceptable one. But those are roughly the same price, and I'd get 3 pieces of inventory there. So let's run through a couple of other examples here. But before we do that, I want to see if it's a good opportunity to buy it new, right? So new buy box is sold by Amazon.com, but that doesn't usually scare me away because, believe it or not, Amazon will share the buy box with you if you price it the same as them. They will share the buy box with you. Granted, they'll take more of the sales probably, but they do share the buy box with you, assuming you have good seller metrics and you match their price and you're not racing to the bottom with them, right? So don't ever, get in a racing battle, especially with books. Always just match the buy box, whether you're selling against Amazon or another seller. It doesn't really matter. So the new buy box is $84.33. So what we want to do then is we want to come back to this, and we're going to come to the bookfinder to see if, A, maybe there's a better opportunity to buy this used, so for cheaper than whatever that was, $13, or maybe there's a better opportunity to buy it new and then ship it into FBA, okay? So right here, $11, that might be something I want to look into as well. So I can get this used on eBay, which is cheaper than $13, right? So it's cheaper than the detail page right here. And I might end up sourcing this, so that might be a $4, right? Unless there's shipping here, but I haven't checked that. So that's something that I would check, obviously, but I don't want to waste your time. So that might be another used book that I'll buy. So I'm buying 4 of those, and then my profit margin might be, $16 after buying all those, and I have $4 or 4 sales as well, okay? So those aren't ideal. You guys probably are looking for better profit margins. Let's see if we can find one really fast. So 51.19, probably not a good profit margin. There's probably not much to be made there, but we'll take it into the Fba Calculator and I'll show you. So we'll say $52 to round up, and we'll say the item price is 83 to round down because there's 83 something. Then what is our profit margin? Okay, so the profit margin is $10, not bad, but then you have to ask yourself, do you really want to spend $52 to make $10? Most of you probably don't want to, although you can. This is profitable to buy new, but you just got to ask yourself that question. So I'm not going to do that because I know that there's so many other better books out there to do that. And the reason I would do this for used is because they'll probably sell pretty quickly, and I'm not spending $50 per each book to do it. I'm only spending $10, right? So it's $40 instead of $200. So let's find a better example right here. $63.98, discrepancy is $12.53. Let's see if this is a good one. So the opportunity here is to buy this for like maybe $12. I don't even know what that adds up to, but let's see if the buy box prices are something that we can make money off of. So used buy box price actually is $36.89, and it's used good. So this might actually be a good opportunity, although this is used acceptable conditions, so keep that in mind. But if you sent this in, the buy box price right now is about $36.89. I've been seeing that if you match the buy box price, they're going to have the buy box more often than not, but you will get potential sales and you will share the buy box even with a slightly lower condition, assuming you have decent seller metrics, okay? So then we want to add this up. That's like $850 plus, so $1250, maybe like, we'll say like $1325 roughly is what you're sourcing it for, right? So we want to get the ASIN of this, or the ISBN, and we're going to try another product, and this might be a good opportunity to show you a one that you can buy used. So we'll say ship to Amazon's 50 cents. Like I always say, it's a little bit high. Cost of our product, I think was $13.25. And the buy box price for used is $36.89. So many tabs up. $36.89, right? So is it profitable? And it is at $10. So this is a great opportunity to buy this book used. So this is a great opportunity to buy this book for $13.25 and then end up making $9.55 on it. You could also buy this one right here, although your margin would be a little bit lower. And keep that in mind that you could also go back to eFlip and see if there's a good opportunity to buy it used on Bookfinder for even cheaper or roughly the same price and source multiple SKUs of this inventory, right? So here, right here, $12 right here, $12.50, $12.50, $12.50, $12.50, $13.50, all the way down to like $14. So I might end up buying all of these right here, depending on the sales rank of this. So I might end up with 6, right there, 7 plus maybe 2 more right here. So we're end up getting it roughly each one that might average out to like 12 or $12.50, right? So if we come back in, right, and we say the average here is $12.50, we're gonna have a profit margin of about $10. So we'll take this conservative estimate and say $10. I was going to get the calculator, but we don't even need the calculator for that calculation, right? So I think it was 7 total right here plus 8, 9. So then it ends up being $90 profit margin just for buying 9 books. But let's make sure that this actually has a good sales history right here. So it does. 59,000 in books, sells pretty well. Let's see if Jungle Scout's working, since my computer clearly isn't working right now. This is getting ridiculous. I might have to just buy a brand new computer. This thing's driving me nuts. So the ISBN, can we sell it? And we can. Boom. So that's a great book that I'm literally going to buy. I'm going to buy 9 of these on all of those, and then that's $90 profit margin for spending maybe $110, $120. So I'm turning $110, $120 into like $220 or $230 or whatever that ends up being, right? I can't do math right now, but you get the picture. So then I want to see firsthand, I'm going to show you another example. Is this a good opportunity to buy this new, right? So we already deemed that I'm going to buy 9 of these copies used. So the new buy box is $79.19. Is there a good opportunity to buy it new? And there's not a good opportunity to buy it new because the cheapest new right here is $60. So what I want to say about this too is you can find good margins used, but a lot of times you're going to find lower risk margins used, right? So like the perfect example, like I just showed you, is like spending like 10 or 12 bucks to make another 10 or 12 bucks, right? So it's like practically getting 100% return, if not a little bit lower on your investment, and you're only spending like 10 or 20 bucks, right? With the new books, you're going to have to sort through a number of books, but all you need to do is find one or 2 or maybe like 10 books to really scale up, and then your margins are going to be like 20 or 50 or sometimes $150 on new books. So newer side of things is more marginal, right? You're going to have more profit margin, but you're going to have to spend more on the books to get into that profit margin. Whereas on the used side of things, you don't have to spend as much, but you're not going to make as much in your margin. So it just depends on whether you want lower risk and lower returns or higher risk and higher higher returns. But if you're vetting your books, they will definitely sell, especially this time of year, because we're moving into the heart of Q4, and we're also moving into spring textbook season in January and February. Okay, so use this tutorial. Go out and test eFlip for yourself. I believe that there's like a 30-day trial or a 15-day trial, and then it's super cheap after that. I think it's like $70 a month. So if you can source just one book that's going to pay for that, then the rest of your month is 100% profit. And this is something I do every single week. Like I said, I like to do it on Sundays, but every once in a while, if I have some extra time, I'll sort through on a weekday as well. Great way to find good books that you can then buy on other marketplaces or on Amazon for you as used, and then ship them into FBA to make more money. Max publish date, you want to kind of drop this lever up a little bit because you want it to be more relevant in recent books. You also, same thing goes with the max trade-in value. You want this lever up a little bit because if there's still a trade-in value and the book is recent and relevant, then that means that students are still going to use it and it's still being taught in certain courses, so they're going to continue to buy it for those courses, right? If you don't have a max trade-in value or a minimum trade-in value set right here or a minimum publish date, you might get a book that looks like a great margin, but no student is going to buy it next semester because it's outdated, right? Does that make sense? That's not always the case, but it's just a good kind of safety net to have. That's why I always recommend setting these. And what I personally like to do is I'll either go one way or the other, right? So I'll either set them really broad and slowly hone in and make them more specific with the levers, or I'll set them really specific and then kind of, if I'm only getting a couple books, then I'll slowly kind of branch them out and get more broad so I'm getting more books. Both of those work. It just depends on what works for you. Try and test it out. Just like anything, the more you source and the more you use this software, the better you will get with it. So max rank on Amazon, anything under 1 million is going to sell, although closer to 1 million, it's going to sell slower. The lower that you get, obviously, the faster it's going to flip. So in my experience, I usually source books under 500,000. The closer to 500,000 it gets, obviously the slower, like we talked about with 1 million. But if the closer to 500,000 for me, the margin better be great because I'm probably going to be sitting on that book for a couple weeks to a month maybe, right? So, and obviously that we're talking about right now, which is not textbook season, those book sales velocity will increase tenfold in textbook season, and the max ranks will drop significantly, which is why right now is a great time to buy textbooks. But I don't want to get into the explanation of that too in depth. So my general rule of thumb is I usually like to buy things under 250,000, but if it's above 250,000, above 250,000 and below 500,000 bestseller rank, but the margin is really good, I'll just buy it anyway and wait on it because I don't mind waiting on it if my money is going to give me that return on investment in a month or so, right? It's not a big deal to me, but it depends on how much money you're playing with and how comfortable you are waiting for your return, right? So I always like to set these different. Sometimes I'll set them below 250. Sometimes I'll set them at like 199. Sometimes I'll set them at like 80,000. Like I said, I always put different things in them. This morning I put 100,000 in or 170,000 in. I usually change these max and minimum offers, but today I didn't change them. For max minimum trade-in value, I put $10. Didn't change the Amazon price. I'll usually match this with the max new price right here. And the minimum new price, I usually match this with the minimum new price. So the minimum new price I put 30, this changes as well, and the minimum used price I put 25 cents, this changes for me as well. So what I like to do is I'll go down and I'll sort through these, like I said, every single Sunday, so I'm literally just rolling through, but I'll check them all, don't get me wrong, because there's no way these numbers right here can give you an indication of what can be successful, but there's no way to really know unless you click them because sometimes things change. Sometimes, the numbers aren't the same as they are right here listed in the software. But the easiest way, if you're strapped on time and you only have a little bit of time, is the easiest way to do it is to look through for discrepancies in new and used. In my experience, if there's a higher discrepancy between the new and the used, it tends to be better potential to be a good book. So right off the bat, the two that I noticed the most right here are this 96.91 to 35 and this 83.62 to 34.60. Now, even if you do go ahead and click these and you check them out and you're thinking, okay, well, I don't want to, waste my time checking them again in the future, you don't have to worry because they'll go gray and they will no longer be green in lettering. And that's eFlip's way of telling you that you've already looked into this book. So that's why another reason I love this software. One of the ones that I just found that was really good is, and I'm going to run through some examples here that I haven't sorted through right here with eFlip here in a second. So we'll check these two and then maybe we'll check a few others. Is this immune system book? So when you click the link right here, it's going to take you to the used ones right here. So the cheapest used right here is $84.86. So if we click this right here and we open it up, it's going to take us to the buy box new and the buy box used. The cheapest is $84.86, which it looks like is the buy box. So there's no opportunity there to buy this used and send it into FBA to resell it as used. There's two main ways to make money with eFlip, like I've talked about before. You either buy it used from a merchant fulfilled seller, right? And then who's selling it cheaper, and then ship it into FBA and sell it higher to match the buy box price and make a margin that way. I do that a lot as well. Or you can go after the new buy box. So you're going after used buy box with a merchant fulfilled used buyer, right? Or you're going after the new buy box and sourcing it with the bookfinder, which if you click this little thing and you go down to bookfinder, it's going to pull up software that's going to show you other places where you can buy this used online as well as new. Now you'll notice that there are some good used deals over here every once in a while, which you can then check out on the buy box right here. So right here is the perfect example, right? This is used and it's selling $84.86. So this is telling you that this is Amazon Canada, and you want to make sure that it's the same version. So that is a little sketchy right there. I'm going to tell you why in a second. So it's selling for $40.93, so that's probably a good profit margin. If we spend 40, we'll say round it up to 41. We'll say it costs us $1 to ship it into FBA because I ship it in with a bunch of other stuff, and you match the buy box price at $84.86. Then, $84.86, not $8.86. Then you're going to make $22.65 for buying this book and shipping it into FBA. So it's a great margin. Now, how fast is it going to sell, though? Is it worth it? Oh, okay, it's $95,000 in books. So Jungle Scout's going to tell me that it's selling 8 roughly a day and 233 sales a month. So this is a great opportunity to buy this book. You also want to make sure that you can sell it, so you're going to take the ASIN into Amazon. Now I already know that I can sell this because I requested approval, but I was gated to sell this originally. So make sure that you check every single book that you're going. Most books, I was always under the impression that every book was ungated and books was just an ungated category, and that is true for 99.9% of books in my experience, although some of the ones that are super low bestseller rank are gated, so make sure that you can sell it. If you can't sell it, then either click request approval, and if your metrics are good, you'll get approved, or just avoid it and go after something else. There's a number of other books, okay? So the key here with these, when you're buying either new or used right here, is you have to make sure that it's not an international edition, and you have to make sure that it isn't a teacher edition or an instructor edition, right? It has to be the same exact edition that matches the buy box, that matches the detail page. So this is the 4th edition, the student edition, right? And if you look here, this says this is brand new international edition. So this is not something that I'm interested in, right? This doesn't say that it's the international edition, but I would obviously check that out. So make sure when you're sourcing, whether it's new or used from Bookfinder, that it is the same exact edition and it is not an international edition or an instructor edition, okay? So this one looks pretty solid, $80 right here. I don't think it's international or an instructor edition, but let's pull it up on eBay. Usually I would read the product information and make sure, but look right here, you say 4th edition. So 4th edition, so it is the right edition. So if I buy this for $80 and I ship it in because it's new, right? Look, it's new books and used books on this side. So this is new from eBay. Brand, where is it? This one says, oh, this is revised. So this is brand new, right? Yeah, brand new. Okay, brand new. So $80, and I'm probably going to buy this when I hop off this. So if I ship this in for $80, and I might end up rounding it up with shipping, so we'll just say 81, and it's going to cost me $1 to ship into FBA because I always ship other things in with it at once, and I match the buy box price at $137.50. Then I'm going to make $27.40 for buying this from eBay, shipping it into FBA, matching the buy box price, and then selling it for $137.50, right? So this is a great book. I'm probably going to buy this after this video, but let's check some other ones really fast to show you different examples. So like I said, this isn't always the case, but the best indicators of books that might be successful when you're searching are the discrepancies between new and used. So let's check this one, and we'll check this one really fast and see. So what I always like to do is I click on this link right here, and it's going to take me to the used ones, which looks like the cheapest used price right here is used very good condition for $33.69 with about $2 tax. So I'm going to round this up and say 34, and then add $2 onto it, and we'll say it's going to cost me $36 for this used book. So what is the used buy box? Is there an opportunity? It cost me $36 right here, right? And boom, that's a perfect example of an opportunity right here. The used buy box is used good. Keep in mind, this one's used very good. This is a perfect example of a merchant fulfiller right here selling this cheap books, run textbooks. I can buy it from them for 36 bucks, ship it into Amazon, and sell it for $60.79 and make the markup of, let's say, 36 bucks. It cost me $1 to ship it in. I'm going to match the buy box price at $60.79. So what am I going to make? I'm going to make $7.58 for buying this, shipping it into FBA, and making the markup. Okay, this is also another example of a book that I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy this here in a second, but let's check actually if there's a good opportunity to buy it new. So the new buy box is $83.62. So we're going to come back and we're going to go to the bookfinder for this, and we're going to see if there's an opportunity to buy this new as well for a margin 2. So $83.62. Still searching, and this looks like $65.19. Probably with fees isn't going to be worth it, because even if it was profitable, you don't want to spend 65 bucks to make like $5. It doesn't really make that much sense. You could if you want to, but let's just run the numbers here and see. So this is $65.19. So it's going to be $65.19. It's going to cost us $1 to ship it into FBA. If we match the buy box price at $83.62 because it's new, you're going to end up losing $2.20. Not worth it at all. So that is a bad book to buy new, but I'm definitely going to buy this used, so I'll throw that over there because I'm going to buy this afterwards. So we're going to check this one, and we're going to click that link, and it's going to take us to the used versions of the book right here, okay? So then we again notice that this is about $31.32. I always like to round up to be conservative, right? So we'll add the 12 cents to here, and we'll round up. We'll say 32 bucks. We'll add the 2 cents tax, so that's 34, and we're going to add 4 bucks, so that ends up being $38 for this used acceptable book, merchant fulfilled, right? So about 34 bucks is the cheapest used price, and it's selling for $51.28 is the used buy box price. So 30, I think it's 38 bucks. I think I said, yeah. So 38, $1 to ship it in. We're going to match the buy box price at $51.28, and it's probably going to tell us that it's not profitable, and we are going to lose $3.68. So this is not a good opportunity to buy this book used, but maybe it's a good opportunity to buy it new. So the new buy box price is $92.92. If we come back and we click the bookfinder, let's see what the opportunities to buy this on bookfinder are as well. So $63.69 from eBay. Remember, if this was a good deal, I'd need to make sure that this is not the international edition or the instructor edition. And sometimes you'll notice that like when you sign on, there's like one for like 10 bucks here, or like 20 bucks, and it's selling for like $200. I've found great deals like that before that are the same edition. Don't get me wrong. I find them all the time. Although it does tend to seem like if it's too good to be true, it probably is either the international or the instructor edition. So just read everything and make sure that it is not if you're going to buy it, okay? So $63.99, probably not a good profit margin, but let's check. We'll round it up to 64. Costs us $1 to ship it in. If we match the buy box price at $92.92, we're going to make $5.71. So while that is profitable, I'm probably not going to go after that because there's so many other better margins out there where you're spending less. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind spending $64, but if I'm going to spend $64, I want to make like at least 20 bucks, right? I want to make like 60 bucks potentially. I don't want to make 5 bucks. So this is profitable. There's nothing wrong with buying this for $64 and then shipping it into FBA and matching the buy box and making $5.71. It's still a profitable buy. Although I want a better return on my investment, so I'm probably not going to do that. Now, 2 other things that I didn't touch on because I touch on them countless times in the other tutorials are you want to make sure that A, you can sell it, and B, that there's a good bestseller rank. And that's one of the benefits of these levers is it's only going to spit out things that are good bestseller ranks for you. So obviously, if I run the Jungle Scout numbers here, it's going to tell me that it's selling fairly well. 7 a day, 198 monthly sales, and 170,000 in books, right? But can we sell it? We need to know. So you want to take the ISBN, take it into Seller Central, and see if you can sell the book if it is a good buy. So I haven't set any of this up, obviously. I'm going to source through like I would any other day. And what I usually do, people always ask me like, what are the perfect parameters to set up? And I don't have any, right? I just literally set them up how I want. Obviously, I get a little bit better at it here and there depending on my goals. But, you know, I literally just sort them randomly every single time I hop on the software, and I have an extra 10 to 20 minutes to source because clearly I want to constantly be putting in different numbers so I'm getting different looks of different books that I can potentially make money from. So I'm going to go through these levers each individually on why I sort them that way. And then, like I said, you want to play around with them because you don't want to see the same books that I'm seeing. We might end up purchasing the same book, and that's totally fine. One thing I will say, whether you're sending, little caveat here, whether you're sending in bulk arbitrage stuff or you're sending in books or wholesale or whatever, if you're on a listing, and these listings will be competitive, the books ones, but so will the bulk deal, so will the wholesale, anything like that. Guys, match the buy box price. Don't be an idiot, okay? Don't drop your price a cent below the buy box. Don't be an idiot and drop your price 10 cents below the buy box. I used to teach that with coupon arbitrage, but that was because you were trying to make the sale quickly and you were only competing with one other seller that wasn't expecting somebody else to be on their listing. The people on these book listings and the people on the wholesale listings and the people on the bulk deal listings are going to have repricing software most of the time. A few of them at least will, if not all of them, okay? And let's say that 2 or 3 of them have repricing software and you drop your price a cent below the buy box, it's just going to set off a repricing war to the bottom, and then you lose, I lose, and they lose, and we all lose. The only one that wins is the customer. So why would you drop the price trying to get the buy box when it's just going to set off a race to the bottom pricing? Key thing here, match the buy box and be patient. Everyone wins and everyone sells at that high price, okay? Got off on a tangent, but I see people doing that a lot, and it really annoys me. Not so much because of the money, although obviously I want to make the money, just because people don't understand that, yeah, you're just trying to be greedy, but really it's going to backfire on everyone, okay? So here we go. I'm going to set the minimum publish date to about 2012. I usually go above, 2010-ish, which is about a decade ago. And that's because you want relevant books. You don't want older books. Same thing with the max trade-in value. So I'm going to go like $1 here. Just so there's a trade-in value, you can put in anything there really, but you want a trade-in value because that's going to indicate that it's not an old version of a textbook and that obviously there's still some value there. Because if it's an old version of a textbook, chances are there's going to be no demand for it, right? So this doesn't just source textbooks, it does source other books as well, but the majority of it, what you're going to be sourcing with this software is textbooks, okay? So I'm going to make sure that there's at least a minimum trade-in value. Now, I don't ever touch the max dues offers, I don't ever touch the max new offers lever, I leave them there. Max rank and max average rank, I'm going to set that to like the minimum, or the maximum, we'll say like 150. Now, what I like to do, I'll do it 2 ways, but the main way that I do it is I'll set these really, really high, right? So I'll set these really, really low, So maybe if you even wanted to go like 89,000, right? And that's going to give you great textbooks because it has low rank and high sales velocity, right? So it's maximum 89,000 rank bestseller rank, okay? That means it's selling very, very well, especially because textbooks, have a high sales velocity already, or books in general. But if you're not getting, and I'll show you this here in a second because we're going to go really, really low. So we'll go like 89,000, which I don't usually go that low, but you can. And if it doesn't spit you out a good amount of books potentially, then you can always broaden it out. So start specific and then go a little bit broader. That's how I like to approach it, okay? So max use price, let's go. We're going to try to sort for some new textbooks so I can show you an example of, potentially good ROIs. So we'll go to like 40. We'll go minimum, let's go 39. 38, why not? $38 minimum Amazon price and minimum new price, okay? Now the max price we're going to set to like, let's go $14. Boom. And we'll start sourcing and see what pops up. Now, as you can see here, no matching records, right? Because this is very, very specific. So what we're going to do is we're going to raise this to 20 and we're going to go 120 here and we'll go a little bit broader and see if it pops up stuff. This is exactly why I wanted to show that to you, right? So now we have this and now we're going to search through it again. And it's finally going to pop up some stuff here. So here, the gray ones are ones that I've already sorted through, and that's one of the reasons I love this software. Now, it's going to show you that you've already clicked this book. It's also going to show you when it highlights it in green. That's the one that you're currently clicked on. It's going to give you a lot of data here, so the average rank that it is over its listing, the rank in general. Another way that you're going to be able to judge books very, very well is using a keep a chart. So the green ones here that aren't gray are the ones that I have not checked yet. Now, if you're looking for time, I usually go down literally just one at a time. So this one, then this one, then this one, and check them all. I usually do this when I'm, late at night or, really early in the morning. When I'm kind of doing other stuff and I have a little extra time on my hands. I don't ever sit down for like an hour or two and just source textbooks. This is stuff that I'm doing, on the side when I have a little bit of extra time. But if you are strapped for time and you really need to sort textbooks, generally speaking, the best ones that you're going to find, and this is not always the case, but if you're looking for a little hack, the discrepancy in the new price right here and the used price, the higher the difference, okay? The higher the difference, generally speaking, the better potential ROI for a new textbook. Okay, that's not always the case. It's just generally speaking. So here, let me show you what I mean by that. So I have this option, that's green. 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 and I have these options down here. So these are 57 minus 14, decent ROI potential. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the ROI is, it's just an indicator, right? So what's the best one that I can sort through and check, right? Probably this one right here, so the 79 minus 1189, so that's like, you know, whatever that ROI is, or the 84 minus 13. So let's check these two first, and we'll see if we can find a good one. So what did I tell you before, right? The first two things that I look for are, can I buy it used and sell it used? Because the benefit of buying it used and selling it used is you don't have to front like 30 or 40 bucks on a textbook or multiple textbooks. You can only, sometimes you're spending like 5 to 20 bucks potentially, and you're making like 5 to 20 back. So it's a little bit less capital intensive if you don't have a lot of money to spend, right? So what I usually do is I'll click that green, I'll click the link, right? And then you'll see it highlights it green, and this goes gray. So this is the one that I'm currently clicked on, and obviously it's showing me that I've already clicked it. And then I'll click this and click Bookfinder. Now what Bookfinder is going to help you source through new books. Now I don't want to show you that yet because I want to focus on one thing at a time. But those are the two things I click. I'll click the link and I'll click the Bookfinder. Boom. Now we're popped up with these. Now I'll right click on the book because that's going to take me to the listing page where it's going to show me the used buy box and the new buy box, right? So I need to find out with this software, is there a merchant price that's has a good ROI where I can ship it into FBA and sell it on the new used buy box and make a profit margin? Or can I source it on another site and ship it into FBA and make a profit margin on the new buy box, right? So there's two ways to make money. So first we're going to go back to that because if you click on the link, it's going to take you directly to all the used offers. So the first one's a rental, clearly. That's not what we're after. The next one is used acceptable. But if you add all these up, and I just like to kind of, overestimate, I like to be a little conservative with these. So I'm going to add 950 plus 81. We're going to round that up. So we're going to say $4, $5 plus 950. So what is that? It's 1450, right? So there's really no, if I'm going to pull this software up, and sometimes it doesn't work with the books, and it doesn't seem to be working right now. Usually works on a lot of listings, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work on a lot of the book listings. That's perfectly fine. We can just pull up the FBA revenue calculator. So I already know that this isn't going to be profitable, but I just want to run you through and show you. So I want to come down and take the ISBN. I don't know why I scrolled all the way down, but I did. So I'm going to take the ISBN right here and I'm going to paste it into the FBA calculator. You can literally just Google Amazon FBA calculator and this will pop up. So now I'm going to put this in the FBA side, right? I always estimate that it's going to ship me $1 or cost me $1 to ship into Amazon. Although because I ship a bunch of things in at once, it never usually costs me $1. It costs me a little bit less than that. Sometimes it's 20 cents, sometimes it's 50 cents. Sometimes it is $1, but rarely is it over $1. Rarely is it $1, okay? So the cost of the product we said was $14.50, right? And what the item price is currently in Amazon, the buy box price that I can potentially sell it for is $20.40. So there's probably not a good profit margin here. It's probably even going to lose money, and it's going to tell me that I'm going to lose $5.25. So obviously that's a bad idea. So there is no opportunity to buy this used, ship it into Amazon, and sell it on the used buy box for a profit. Now, is there an opportunity to buy this new? So 105.80, I'm already going to look at this and tell you that there's not an opportunity because it's not that big of a discrepancy. Sometimes you're going to see like, okay, this sells it for 105 and there's an opportunity to source it here for like 30 or 40 or 50. And then obviously that's something you want to put in the FBA calculator and check to see if there's a margin there because the discrepancy is a lot bigger, right? So obviously if it was selling for 30 here, then you could buy it for 30 and then you'd potentially make a good profit margin, right? But there is no opportunity here. Now, another thing you want to be careful with is buying from worldwide. So you want to buy from somewhere in the U.S. So whether that's Abe's Books, eBay, even though this is UK, you don't want to buy from the UK. So there is no opportunity to buy this for a new price on another US-based site. And you also want to keep in mind when you're sourcing new textbooks, like I said in the intro, make sure that you're not buying instructor's editions and make sure that you're not buying the international edition, okay? Two things there. So let's go pick another one and we'll try to sort through a few more fast and see if we can find a good example. Because people always tell me, hey, I can't find anything, and it blows my mind because I literally hop on and I find stuff all the time, and it's not very hard, right? I'm not saying that this business model is easy because nothing's easy, right? You need to be able to spend the money, you need to be able to source the books, and you need to be patient, but they will sell and you will make your money back, okay? So let's check if there's an opportunity for this right here. Another thing that I forgot to tell you is if there is an opportunity, always make sure that you can sell it. Textbooks aren't gated, so it's not a gated category, although Amazon has started gating some of the higher ranked textbooks. So always, just with any product, make sure that you can sell it, okay? So the used buy box price is the first thing we're going to check, $32. Is there an opportunity? This is a rental? No. Used acceptable? Probably a decent opportunity here, right? So we're going to round these up. So that's 4, another buck, that's 5, 13. So 13 bucks is what you can potentially source this from. Same thing as this one, 13 right here. This one's a little bit over 13 or 14. So there's a good opportunity to buy this relatively cheap from all these merchant fulfilled sellers right here. Boom. Use acceptable, good. So what you can do is potentially buy this for 13 bucks roughly. Maybe it's 13.50 or 14 if you buy all three of these and average them out. That's exactly what I do. So I'll add all these to my cart, and then I'll divide them by the cart by 3, and that's exactly what I'm going to tell myself I source each book for. Okay. So we're going to go off that first one. So $13.50, can we ship it into Amazon and sell it used, get the buy box at 32 bucks, and make a profit margin? Will this AMZ Scout calculator work? It will not. So what we need to do is we need to go down, and we need to check the ISBN to see if there's a profit margin. So we'll take it back into the Fba Calculator, paste it in there, boom. So the item price was 32, I believe. 32. We sourced it for, I think, 13, I said, and shipping to Amazon we're going to estimate as $1. So this is a great example of a used book that you can buy. Now, sometimes if you're going to buy it for 13, your margin might be 10 or 13, right? And then that's practically 100% ROI. This is about a little bit under a 50% ROI, so maybe like a 45% ROI. So pretty solid because you're spending 13 bucks. You're going to make $6.11 back for every time you ship this in at 13 bucks and sell it for 32 bucks. Great example of a product that you can buy used from a merchant fulfilled seller. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to add all 3 of these to my cart too. I'm actually leave this up because I want to buy this at the end. But that's a perfect example of a book that you can buy for 13 bucks, maybe $13.50 if you add all 3 of these, and then average them out, and then ship them into Amazon and list them for 32 bucks on the used buy box. Boom, you just made a good profit margin, right? So you just turned 13 bucks 3 times into whatever it sold for, 30, maybe 28 after Amazon fees or something like that. Okay. So now let's see if there's an opportunity to buy this new. 76 is the new buy box. So let's see. Can we source it anywhere close to that? No. So 74, 75. Another way that you can source used books is on the right over here, although I rarely do that. So let's find another example of a good product. I'm going to leave this one up because I'm going to buy all 3 of these potentially after this video, unless I find some good other examples. So here's a great one right here, right? 133.15. So let's see if this is a good one. We're going to click the link. We're also going to come back, click the bookfinder. Oh, damn. I'm going to have to go back and find that one afterward. So we're going to right click on this and we're going to see, okay, the cheapest we can source this, it's not a rental. Keep in mind, you don't want to rent them. So used acceptable is, we're going to round this up. So 4, 5, 16. So 16, the used buy box is 44. That's another opportunity to potentially make money, right? So let's run the numbers. Again, on the last one too, you want to make sure that you can sell that as used. So take it into Seller Central, add a product, put the ISBN in there, and make sure that you can sell it, okay? Ship to Amazon is going to be $1. I think we said it was 16. I don't remember. 5, yeah, 16. What's the new or the used buy box? Used buy box is 44.64. 44.64. Now, if you wanted to be conservative, often I'll round down to 44, right? So we're going to source it for 16. We're going to say it's going to cost us $1 to ship it into Amazon. We're going to round down, assuming that maybe the buy box price drops a little bit, and we're going to calculate what our potential profit margin. Great example of another product. So you're only spending 16 bucks to get this. You're going to make $12.92 profit because you're going to sell it at 44, and after the Amazon fees of $8.40, you're going to net $12.92 profit, obviously plus 16, right? So you're going to turn your 16 into 16 plus $12.92. Does that make sense? I hope so. Another great example of a buy right here where you can make money off of, and there might even be other opportunities, although this one's a little bit closer. This one's like 22, 23. So I would just buy this one. Probably there's a great profit margin there. There's still a profit margin to be made on this one, but not nearly as high. So I'm probably going to look into that one too. I'm going to have to remember these because we're going to go through these fast. So now we want to click this again. I didn't mean to X out that. So what can we source this for cheaply, right? So here's a great example, potentially 75 bucks. Is there an opportunity to buy it from there and sell it back online for a profit? So 139, not that great of potential profit margin. So it's not worth it necessarily, in my opinion, to spend 75 to potentially make like 10 or 12 or 20 bucks after fees. You can, and I do it from time to time if I have some money to play with and I'm like, you know what, I have $1,000 or $2 to throw at books. Sometimes I'll do that and just get that extra little ROI, but often I'm looking for a better one. So let me show you for that what I mean by that before I get off on a tangent. First thing, let's assume that I could source this and it was a good profit margin and I wasn't worried about it. The first thing that I would want to do is read through all of this and see if there's international or instructor in here, right? Because that's going to be the international or the instructor edition. Also, make sure, I've made this mistake before on eBay as well and other sites, make sure you're not buying an ebook. Some people will literally put this in here like a book, and then they'll have like it end up being an ebook. Make sure you're not buying an ebook. If it doesn't say anything about ebook, check the condition. And make sure that it is format paperback or format hardcover, so that you're not buying an ebook, okay? I have seen people do that before, and I've been a victim of that as well, and it is annoying, and it's kind of a sleazy thing, but obviously that person won't be selling on eBay very long. Okay, so let's pretend that this was a potential good profit margin, right? So there's two things. I don't know what it is on Mac, but I'm going to Control F on PC, and I'm going to literally type in international and see if the international, here's an example right here. So this is an international edition. While you still can't make money off this, if you could, you still wouldn't want to buy that. So I don't see any international pop up here. There's no highlighting of international, and I don't see any instructor edition highlighting there either. So this is a good potential book to buy, but I also want to make sure that it doesn't pop up on this in like maybe they hit it in the specs down here. Although typically speaking, you're going to see it smack you in the face. It's going to literally say instructor edition, or it's going to say that in the specs or the description down here. And this clearly says 4th edition right here in the title. So if it ended up being the instructor edition and it has 4th edition in the picture too, you could obviously return that, and eBay would give you your money back because they advertised the book wrong and it was inaccurate description, okay? So this is not an international or instructor's edition. It's a good potential buy, although the margin isn't that great, right? So what I'd want to do is I'd want to add this to my cart, and I'd want to see what the shipping cost was. And I'm not going to do that because I don't want to show you my address, but I would want to potentially add this to my cart. Let's assume that it has free shipping, okay? And sometimes they do, often they do, but sometimes you might get dinged for like a $3 or $4 shipping on a book because they're shipping it media mail. So then it might make your cost like $77 or $80 or something like that. But let's assume no shipping cost and it's free shipping. So $74.99. Let's see what the potential profit margin for this book would be. ISBN, take it into Fba Calculator, because I don't think that the Fba Calculator is going to work on this listing, and it won't. So I don't think I did put that in. So ship to Amazon's $1. Our cost is 75. We'll round up for that cent. Buy box price is $139, so we'll round down. Take that 64 cents off, so $139. So what's the potential margin there? Well, actually, that's not a bad margin. I was miscalculated. So this is something that I would potentially go after. Because while you're spending $75, which is decently high for most people on one potential product, you're almost getting double your money back. That's literally, yeah, it's almost double your money back on that book. So you're turning 75 into, whatever that ends up being, 110, right? So 75 into 110, maybe taking that 75 into 110, that's like a 50% ROI in maybe a month or two it sells, depending on what the sales velocity of this book would be. You are not going to find an ROI like that in the stock market in that kind of that short of a time period. Consistently, at least. You're not going to find an ROI like that in the real estate market, consistently at least. So this is one of the best ways that you can do this. And look, 32,000 in books. So this is selling very, very fast. And for whatever reason, my Jungle Scout Chrome extension hasn't been working on the books either. It's sometimes I think it's something with like my Google Chrome or something like that. Usually they work. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's been finicky. But regardless, obviously 32,000 in books is very, very low. That's selling very, very well. And if you shipped it in and matched the new buy box price, then obviously you'd potentially make that margin. So that is another great example of a book. Not the best, because sometimes you can honestly double your money, if not more. So sometimes you're going to find a book here that's like $35 or $40, and you can ship it in and match the buy box price at like $150 and make like $100 on that book. So I have seen that quite often. Doesn't happen all the time, but you have seen them quite often. But this is another great example of a book that you can buy $75 on eBay. There's no international or mention of instructor edition. Ship it into Amazon and make a profit. So let's go through one more. I'll try to find another good example for you really fast. So let's do this M management one. It looks like it's decent potential ROI here. Difference is the indicator I'm looking for. So I skipped a bunch of them, obviously, which I would go back and check, because that doesn't always, it's not like a set in stone thing. It's just a potential indicator. So I'm going to click the link, right, and come back and click the bookfinder. Let's go through the used buy box price first. What's the cheapest I could potentially source it? So used good, I could potentially source this for 4, 5, we'll round this up to 12. So 17 is the potential roughly that I could potentially source this for. $17, and the used buy box price is obviously that first one, so that's not a good opportunity to buy it used from a merchant fulfilled seller, ship it back into the used buy box and make money. So we can't do that. That's off the table. Let's look at the new buy box price. The new buy box price is $98.48. What's the potential to source this? Well, here's a great example of one that you don't want to do, right? So we're going to probably end on this one because it's a good example. So while the last one I showed you was a great example of one that you could buy and make $35 profit on relatively quickly because it sold quickly, this is one that looks good right off the bat because you're going to buy it and potentially, or you're going to buy it for $34 roughly, and you potentially ship it into Amazon and sell it for $98. So the margin there is going to clearly be good, right? Maybe double your money if not more. But right here, warning, instructor's copy. So international instructor's copy. Not something you want to do, okay? Instructor's copy, not something you want to do. Instructor's copy, not something you want to do. So now we're going to continually go down. So ISBN here, new, hardback, AC not included with the ISBN. So no access code or supplemental. So that could be an issue too. You also want to make sure that it doesn't not say like not access code, although it is listed as new. So here we go right here. Here's a potential one right here, 48, 80, or 70. I'd have to look in more of this one. 70 is not going to be low enough to make a margin on this because it's selling for 98 bucks. But maybe this one would be. I'd have to look into this. Maybe I'd mesh as the potential seller. So if this is new, and there is no image on this, but let's assume that it is. So I would look into this more. So 48, 80, is there a potential opportunity to make a good margin there? So what do we want to do? And obviously, guys, before you buy it, always make sure that you can sell it. I know I said that before, but I want to hit that home. So take the ISBN into Seller Central, go to Inventory, add a product, and literally paste that in to see if you're able to list it in that condition, okay? So we're going to take the ISBN into the Fba Calculator, and we're going to see if there's an opportunity to sell it. I'm going to round down. The item price is 98. It's going to cost me $1 to ship it in, and I believe it was 49 to source because I'm going to round up. So conservative numbers here. Let's see what the potential profit margin is. So there we go. That's a potentially good opportunity to buy this for 49 bucks, ship it into Amazon, and make 26, 21 on my money, okay? So I'm literally turning $49 into maybe like, whatever that ends up being, 65 roughly, or 75, excuse me. So turning 49 into 75. How fast would that happen? Not as fast as the last one because this one's 137,000, so it might take a month or two to sell if you're matching the buy box price, but still relatively quickly. You're not going to find a good margin on that, and this is exactly how you multiply your money, guys. It's not a hack. It's not a trick. It's a legitimate business. You can source these books just like they're products, right? I don't look at these as textbooks or books. I look at them as another product that happens to be a book. You source them, whether you're sourcing them used and shipping them in and getting the used buy box, or sourcing them new, shipping them in and getting the new buy box. There's opportunities, a ridiculous amount of opportunities here to buy these books with the eFlip software. It's literally spoon feeding you them. Look, you have X amount of other pages to potentially sort through. You could also go a little bit broader and sort through other ones, move some of the levers down and check out different potential looks of different books. Check this software out. I'm telling you, it's phenomenal.